Retrievers are awesome. Like my next door neighbors both had retrievers, and they just like as soon as we walk up, there's beelines to us. It's just absolutely awesome because you've met CC and Callie and Sadie. So
Yeah,
one's red haired and one's a golden like yours.
yeah.
And so it's just amazing what they all do. And like we've been around Callie since she was a when she got first brought home. So it's like she just freaks out when she hears our voices when we get home. She just beelines it over to us. It's really cool to see because it's like she are the her owners goes like you're the only ones that do this. But she does this too. It's like this is awesome.
She is she's very social. And you know, when I first got her, I was nervous because I had a couple people watching her while I was at work. I worked 12-hour shifts. I'd get nervous that, you know, she's gonna love them more than me when I get home. You know, because she's spending so much time with all these other people. But no, she's great. She loves other dogs, loves other people.
Mhm.
So it's been good so far.
That's awesome, man.
She's not like an anti-social dog or anything like that. Like you haven't noticed anything crazy yet
No,
with her.
no, she's a hoot. She's actually really fucking annoying sometimes. But dude, her teeth,
Yeah.
Sharp.
holy shit. You know, it takes all of me not to just
How many times have you been bitten by her?
thousands.
Is it like play biting though,
Oh,
or
yeah,
is it
yeah,
like
yeah.
full on like?
Yeah, it's play biting, but when,
You know,
when your
pitbull
teeth are
down
that
the
sharp,
bone.
yeah, when your teeth are that sharp, dude, and she'll bite you on the back of your tricep, the most tender spot on your body. It's like,
Oh, that's hilarious.
no, but she's good. She's good otherwise.
Yeah, because I've never heard of a golden actually being antisocial. They're always such a loving dog because it's like that's why most families get them because the lifespan's about 10 to 15 years. They're great for raising one around kids. They're very sociable. They like to hang around people and stuff like that. My brother-in-law has a golden too as well. Now the red ones they tend to have a little bit higher prey drive, so you got to watch out around.
The red ones,
Yeah. Watch them around like other
gingers,
smaller
I tell
animals,
ya.
but not like cats or dogs, but like pheasants or not pheasants, but rabbits and squirrels, stuff like that. They'll go after them. Possums.
Do you think you're gonna train your dog to hunt?
Fuck no. What is she gonna hunt?
Rabbits, squirrels.
Teach her to be a canine?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
I guess it's hunting humans.
I
Really.
feel like you have to do that like really quickly though if you're gonna do
It
that.
takes a lot of work. Even just like simple obedience training is a lot of work. Their attention span is like that of like a 2-month old. Like it's just like
Like a TikTok
any
watcher.
Yeah, like a TikTok watcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, B tier podcast. You know, welcome.
We got our
welcome.
swag on.
We're kind of repping today a little bit.
Yeah, my swag is properly focused on the camera. So it's good.
Displayed. All right.
Yeah.
Out in full force today. You can thank wonderful Philip over here for the merch.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
But
problem, no
honestly, it feels like okay. So last time we talked, I thought it was like a crossover episode, but now it's like a crossover episode again. Because
It's like the Very Odd Parents with
when you have
Timmy
everybody in there, you got Danny Phantom, you got
Danny
Timmy Turner,
Phantom,
you
yeah.
got Doug Dividome, and all of them. Man, it's gonna be. It just sounds like a crazy thing, but like it is like worlds colliding to me on the B tier podcast today. But if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, click that notification bell down below. We do, I don't know, two episodes a week. We've been kind of coming out weekly. We have daily shorts right now. We got daily content. I'm gonna try to get our TikTok started because I just have not had time to do that. But you know, other than that, like it's been a really great time. We got a new whiskey tonight. We got names from a hat, you know, and it's gonna be an overall fun time because we have to ask him his superpower and we're gonna do a lot of stuff tonight. So
Well, on top of
hopefully
that, he's concussed too.
Yeah.
yeah. So name of the episode tonight is Concussed. I don't know if that'll make it to post, but we'll go from there. You know,
Sure.
we gotta
Since we're all pretty vocal with our
SEO
hands,
search.
you're gonna have to eventually get an overhanging camera so this way we can all see each other's hand movements.
I'm just throwing gang signs down here.
Yep.
that would be lit, but
I
don't
think,
do that,
gang
please.
signs are kind of good one because like the cartel's basically shutting down the Bloods and the Crips. So it's like, oh, it's like we got to watch out for cartels, you know?
Right.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, like I said, I'm really happy to have everybody here. We don't really call everybody guests yet. We haven't really I kind of mentioned this right before we went to record, but I was like, yeah, if I die, I want B tier to still be here. So like, you know, in my absence, I want you guys to kind of just like continue the show. If we have to get new members every time, like Slipknot or something like that, we can keep going. You know what I mean? But I just want to like be able to push the envelope forward on podcasting. I think this is going to be something that's a little bit unique, a little bit different, but also still like wholesome, you know? Wholesome family values, Minecraft Christian channel, SEO, research, do your own. And just hit all the tags there. But yeah, so the original idea with the hat, Kato, because you weren't here, you can pick a question from the hat. All of us have time to answer it. It's like a debate class, pretty much, right? But all of us have time to answer it, and then we'll just go from there. And that'll be probably the title of the episode. But just
we
you're
just
new
pick
here.
one.
Just pick one.
But the one thing we're missing is ice and a bowl of ice to open up this tasty this bourbon from Nevada.
Hold up on that question.
Yeah.
No. Drop.
I actually can't. I don't remember what I drew. All I know is that I had 0 input on that question.
There you go. I'll buy it. I'll buy what you're selling.
Being at your job as a cop.
No. I didn't write that one because I'm just gonna ask him now.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I'm here for it.
All right, so I got not a bowl, but you guys can pop these out. So yeah, tonight we have. I guess before you introduce the question, you got to introduce this whiskey.
You want me to do it? I will.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, if you want to. But no, it's smoke wagon, small batch, straight bourbon. There's a partial rye in there from what I saw
Yeah.
after
Want to?
I bought it.
No, it's one,
But it
one
is
side,
a 100 proof, so it's
no, this you're not drinking. Oh, that's
gonna
right.
be
Yeah,
real good tonight.
that's right.
Probably not gonna do it.
No,
There's
no.
water in the fridge or anywhere else that you need it.
Mhm.
And I did not bring my nut. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, there we go. Nice thing about your apartment, it's just one big donut.
It's one big, yeah, it's like a triangle. Like everything's set up. You can go either way to get anywhere. Yeah, it's nice because like if we have wires like everywhere here, you can easily get around them.
Just think if this was never converted into a big
dodging 'em at
apartment, it would have been a massive house.
Oh, I
just
know.
a
I
massive
know.
mansion.
Dude, my house used to have like we used to have bootleggers down here in the basement side, and we have like a trap door over here that's not a camera. And they used to hide like a bunch of liquor in there. It used to be like an
Nice.
abolitionist like rotator
Mhm.
house. You know, they used to move drugs through here.
I have an uncle that
The
used to be a
ATF
bootlegger
probably
back
hated
in the
this
80s,
house.
back in the day,
Yeah,
way back in the day.
yeah. Well, because I mean, you got to be old to be a bootlegger.
Yeah, well,
I guess you can be a
we
movie
didn't know
shiner,
he
though.
was until we went down to his basement and opened up his he had passed away. So this was back in the 90s. So this is already 30 years ago. And we were going through his basement. We found a door, and it's like it had all of his distilling pots and stuff like that. It's like that's pretty cool to see this kind of history.
Mm-hmm. You guys ever watch the History Channel and watch there's American Pickers.
Yep, out of
So-
Iowa.
It's a good one. What else? Pawn Stars,
Mhm.
classic. What else? It's another good TV show.
You said you're not drinking tonight at all.
That's kind of goes back to the first question.
Probably not a
I
good idea.
Yeah, for being concussed, I would not
mean-
recommend that.
I'm not a doctor, but you know, I'm the doctor of fun. You can at least have a little bit of that, right?
Boys, here's what we're working with. You could have dinner with any celebrity,
Mm.
living or dead. Who would it be?
If I could have dinner with any celebrity, I'd just have to like say Snoop Dogg. Like just have a dinner with Snoop Dogg.
Would you
Sounds
smoke with
easy.
them?
Oh yeah, definitely. No questions asked.
How much? Could you keep up though?
Probably not, but I'd try.
I think the only one that I think has been actually confirmed to outsmoke Snoop is Willie
Willie
Nelson.
Nelson, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like I think you'd just be one of those people just like when you just want to sit back on the wall and just watch these guys go blunt for blunt and just watch them just like see who passes out first.
Psycho.
And Willie Nelson
I'd do it.
in
I'd
his
try.
80s or 90s. So that guy's
Yeah,
been around for a
keep
hot
up till
minute.
you
You have
pass
to
out.
do that at some point.
If I lose, I
Yeah,
win.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
like it's-
Yeah, it's,
I'm
like-
out.
it's medicinal
Nice.
uses, but it's like he's been around for so long. He's probably seen all the ups
Do you
and downs.
think?
and
Do you think
transitions.
Willie's weed is like kind of toned back on purpose so that he can just
I
go
don't even-
blunt for
does
blunt
he
for
have
blunt?
a strain that he's like he sells in like
Well, like,
California
I know
or
Snoop
Nevada?
Dogg and like Wiz Khalifa do. I'm sure
Mhm.
that they're like toned back. Like I'm sure they have like, oh, this is all CBD, and then they have like 2% THC in them.
or they're just absolute gas.
Or yeah, or
yeah,
They're
they-
just-
or
they
they're
just smoke it.
80% and like they just don't get affected by it. Like, could be both. Could be both. All right. So how about you? What celebrity are you taking?
It probably Dr. Jordan Peterson. to hang out with him and talk to him and stuff like that to see his perspectives and such, and
Okay.
just to be
Canadian, eh?
no, it'd be nice to sit down with the modern time Socrates, because I mean it's like he's already being ostracized, he's already been made a villain by Disney and Marvel and such. So I'd be interested to see, like, I'm already a huge fan of his work and a continuing of his work. I mean, heck, we bought tickets a couple years ago to go see him live, spent the extra money to go do a meet and greet, and then he gets sick.
Yeah.
So you just having the opportunity to sit and hang out with him and ask questions and get his perspective on different things and such. It's like it's meeting Socrates, but in 2020.
You know, like Theo Vaughn is gonna be here in like a month or two.
I know. I've been asking my buddy Nick from the Stationary Astronaut podcast if he wants to get tickets for it, stuff like that. Because it's like we usually, that's how him and I connect. It's like we'll go out and go to a comedy show and such. I've been asking, like, hey, do you want to do this? Because he did he brought Theo Vaughn in. He brought Gary V.
He has met Theo Vaughn?
No, he actually put an event on in Rochester, Minnesota a couple years ago, and had them come in. Theo Vaughn was the opener. Gary V was the main speaker of it all. A couple years ago, we also brought on Dr. Gabor Mate. We also played around with the idea of bringing Jocko Willink. But the only downside is, like, it's here. It's in the Midwest, so it's like either Minneapolis or Madison. But
yeah, there's not many places to fly in.
But what he runs into is no, it's taxes, the bullshit he has to deal with Mayo Clinic, because he has to go to. Yeah, because Mayo Clinic owns the Mayo Civic Center, obviously, because they have a name to it. But they charge astronomical fees, the taxes. Kind of like why lacrosse, we dump a couple $1 million into our lacrosse center, and we can't attract any big bands. Like the last big show that we had here that was actually worth going
Breaking
to.
Benjamin, probably.
No, it was Five Finger Death Punch, 6 a.m.
Weren't they at? They weren't even at the lacrosse center, though, right?
No, they were. No, because the reason why I know is that I was going to buy tickets for it, but Alicia bought tickets for my birthday, and my good friend John came down, so we got to go see it. But that's the last big show. Besides, we have the rodeo that comes in every November, but it's like,
yeah, it's like monster trucks. Like they have a specific fan base for them.
I agree.
I can't follow. I can't be a part of that.
Yeah, it's like watching something.
If we got
jump
like a
on
WWE, we need like a WWE.
They used to come.
Yeah, they used
to.
Yeah, they used to.
Yeah, or we need like an arena football team again. Didn't we have like an AFL team for a long time, like a lacrosse train or something like that?
We can't even pack the stadium for the loggers, so like, what are we gonna bring in a football team for?
No,
we have also the lacrosse chill for hockey, and it's like that.
Or the new softball team, the Steam, like the Loggers. They just started their inaugural season this year. So.
Yeah,
and it's like nobody wants to come see that stuff, but then again, it's like we're all society's back to normal again, so it's like everybody's back on their devices and such.
We're back to normal. All right, how about you, man? What's your celebrity of choice? Who you eating dinner with?
I'd probably sit down with Steve-O. I think he seems like an interesting guy.
That would be interesting.
He's absolutely tortured his body over the last 15, 20 years.
He's become pretty base too, as well. I mean, he likes to call out the communists real quick.
He seems like a cool guy. I met him backstage once because my buddy's dad does comedy, and he was opener for him over in Minneapolis. So I got to meet Steve-O behind stage, and seemed like a cool dude. Obviously, he was kind of in a hurry to get back to his bus, and then he was jetting off, but seemed like a cool dude. I don't know. I like his content. His stuff's cool. It's funny. I feel like he'd have a good sense of humor.
And I'm so old. I watched him work his way up from Bam Margera and all those guys coming out of 3 and see where they all went, stuff like that. At least, he cleaned up. He got himself going pretty well. I mean, he was pretty big in Albuquerque.
It's going to be warm.
No,
this is going to be real spicy here.
Yeah. All right.
Wait, is that the habanero?
No, this is Smoke Wagon.
Smoke Wagon.
Yeah, the notes, man. Sorry, I should have. I honestly thought you guys already took a sip. I'm not classy. Wow, the notes on that.
50%, man.
I got hair sprouting.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
on my chest.
This will definitely.
That's pretty good. It's pretty
definitely gonna get some peach fuzz after this one.
This was a good guess. Because I gave him a list of whiskeys that I just recently tried over the weekend. I had Widow Jane, Redbreast, 15-year, which is phenomenal. Expensive. I think they were charged way too much for it, because it's like I saw the bill. Oh, and then I also had Whistle Pig. They're straight rye, 100 proof. Not straight rye, but
can you do me a
bottle bottle. Oh, phenomenal, very tasty.
What's the difference?
You're in.
So you
I'm
have
like kind of
sommeliers for someone who knows a lot about wine.
You're in.
What's
Am I in
someone
or
with a whiskey? Is it just a whiskey expert?
I think so.
You're
They
right.
need some type of cool name.
Am I in
I think
to,
so.
like,
Sommelier is pretty badass.
It
though.
is,
Can
it
you
is.
spell it?
Sommelier?
Yeah,
Oh,
I can't.
not without Googling that
I
shit.
need
I
like
can't
whiskey
really see
dessert or something like that.
Yeah, I
Something
think you're-
Wait,
unspelled.
can you see my
Yeah,
back?
I
Not
like
really.
drinking whiskey
Okay,
so much.
so I have to move it
My
more.
wife got me cigar
'Cause
glasses
you gotta be
too.
able to, like,
So this way we
look
can put a
at
cigar in there. So I enjoy a good cigar along with it.
That's awesome.
This is pretty tasty. I really like it. It's very mellow, got some key notes to it. It's not it's a little bit aggressive in the front, but as the flavor dwindles and stuff like that, it doesn't leave a sour taste or a bad taste, because it doesn't taste ashy.
Phil's just living vicariously through us right now.
I'll try it next time.
It's like that shit tastes
Yeah.
I'll
good.
try it next
That shit
podcast.
looks like it tastes good.
I'll smell it.
Well,
I just know.
for how like heavy of a liquor it is, it's very, very light.
Yes.
Like,
It smells good.
Hmm. And usually 100 proofers are going to is usually where you want to start at and then go up from there. It's like as you progress in your whiskey career, it's like you just want to stick 100 plus. Like there is a Quincentennial that
Caps.
came out of Cedar Ridge. It's 114 proof. And it's like, oh, that sounds tasty. And then was it the
I feel like
Buffalo-
I feel like when you're early on to whiskey, I feel like you don't want to do like 150 proof or 100 proof. Or
I believe
I
you
feel like you want
I
to be
feel it's
like
like-
in that 80 proof.
you want to move your way up to it. So this way, then you have the appreciation of different levels of the different proofs and such.
That is true.
Started from the bottom.
Starting,
Right here.
yeah,
Yeah,
starting from
exactly.
the bottom and then move your way up.
Mhm.
Like I wouldn't start with like 100. Like I wouldn't give anybody not.
Oh, it's your first drink. Here you go.
Yeah, here's like a
Mhm.
150 proof. Here's
151. Yeah.
percent alcohol.
I feel
Yeah.
like I can taste. This is the first liquor I've ever had that I feel like I can taste the barrel.
Mhm.
It's
You know,
really good, man.
I don't know if I'm
Double
just like
black
thinking.
is pretty rough. That one tastes like you're drinking the barrel along with the ash they put it with.
Mhm.
Double black from Johnny Walker.
Oh yeah, that's like really ashy though. Like
That's what I meant, man. That's what,
oaky.
yeah.
Yeah.
So on that note, what's your guys' if you had to drink like one soda, are you going diet? Are you going zero sugar? And let me just guess, actually. You strike me as like a Code Red kind of guy. Just
Like a Mountain Dew Code Red.
yeah, like a Code Red kind
Oh
of
yeah.
guy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
strike
I
me
gotta
as
get
just
my
like
double XP
like
tokens.
a flat. No, not flat. You like a lukewarm Coca-Cola.
Close. It's Pepsi, but yes.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
And Phil, you're like a mellow yellow kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I drink a lot of mellow yellow, actually.
Yeah. A lot of that comes down if you want to even get better at you. That's where you start asking where
You got to get your
'cause that's
yellow
where you can figure
fives
out
in
where-
ya, and
where,
your carbon fiber,
where they spent their years
microplastics
at,
into the balls.
You can
Yeah.
figure out what was the main demographic of what the restaurants ordered in that area. And like
Sun drop,
my area
mellow
was the-
yellow, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
heavy in Pepsi. And so it's like, because they just kind of came in with a better deal throughout the 90s and such. That's where trying to gauge a person's age, where you figure out where they spent the first 15 years of life. You can really find out where they're going. Especially like if you find something that has a low draw, it's always going to be Coke.
My mom is addicted to Mountain Dew. She has been ever since I was a kid. It got to the point where I don't think they have these anymore, but you could donate all the cans. You could put them into a machine and spit out a nickel per can.
They do.
And she would have several garbage bags that we go to the grocery store with. I'm from New York, and we go to the grocery store with like 5-6 garbage bags full of Mountain Dew cans, like over $100, easy.
Mhm.
But yeah, then she'd give us like $1 or $2. I'm like, we did all the fucking hard
Dude,
work.
my family, like my dad used to drive to Michigan whenever he had cans because it was 10 cents
10
a can
cents, yep.
instead of 5. So he would double up his money on it, like we drive to Michigan, they go to like my cousins or whatever. He would have like 7 duffel bags worth of like we don't even have luggage in the car at that point. Like it's just 7
cans.
duffel bags of cans.
Any bees that might have snuck in.
Yeah, anything. It could have been ants. It doesn't matter. Fruit flies, but no, it was like we would drive and then we would go to like Kalamazoo, Michigan, and we just drop everything off there, and then we basically have an empty car for the rest of the week.
We had a theft. You know those those cages that are put up? Like there's one at Sam's Club where you can donate cans.
Yeah.
Someone would steal those. Like they'd go and they'd just take all the cans and they'd probably drive wherever and donate them. A couple $100 worth at least, just
Yeah.
sitting there.
Well, I mean, it's just free money. It's free real estate at
It
that
is.
point.
Yeah, it is.
It's like copper in an old house. Like you just gotta go in and grab it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, some of the communities that I grew up in down in Iowa and stuff like that, or in Minnesota, they would utilize the can drop offs donations to be able to pay to help fund for a better fireworks show. So that once they establish that fund for it, people just kind of stop stealing them.
Yep.
Did you
Yep.
see them overflow and stuff like that? Because people would just go in and drop them all between the beer cans and soda cans, and then they'd clean them out. And especially like during the holiday season, that's when they get the fullest capacity because everybody's coming in, so you're buying whatever you need times two.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember like Cash for Clunkers, right?
Oh,
We
yeah.
got to set up an operation to just acquire a bunch of cars and cash for clunk them.
That's like how the Salvation Army has a sign that says, "We will buy your used car," or "We'll take we'll or donate your used car." It's like, who's gonna do that?
People
Who's
who want tax write-offs
I
and people who
guess,
can
but like,
steal cars and get more tax write-offs. Gotta think, Kato.
yeah, you're right. You're right. Live in an urban city, I just want to walk or ride my bike everywhere.
Yeah,
Fuck my car.
cash for clunk, man.
Yeah.
Get rid of her. We don't need them. No, I feel like here though you do need cars. Like I feel like you can't really go anywhere without a car around where we live. You know, like we don't have good public transportation here.
When's the last time you rode the bus?
I couldn't tell you.
So all I did in college.
It's probably been since
It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
it's probably been since like drinking downtown. Like that's probably
Oh, like
one time,
like the sober bus?
yeah, like the sober bus. Like I've taken that a couple times.
That's not an accurate representation of like our.
But
transit
there's
system.
there's no one on it. Like it was literally just like me and like maybe 3 or 4 other drunk people, and then you're just like, oh yeah, this is like my stop, and then
Oh,
they
I'm
just
thinking
take
like
you
when
where
I
they
was on
need
it,
to
it was
be.
packed, like jam packed.
I think it's packed on the way down there. I think coming back, it's just like,
Oh, it's packed. People are running for the bus during the school year. We'll be
Yeah.
walking downtown on patrol, and they're like, "Where's the bus at?" I'm like, "It's literally right there."
you
It's
gotta go.
literally right
You gotta
there.
get there.
It's like 30 feet away, and they'll sprint to it. And yeah, there's people. You don't even have a spot to sit. It's packed. People will sing in unison on the bus. It's fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Well, this is when you were living in New York, or is this for
No, this is
here in
lacrosse. Yeah, there's a
Okay.
drunk bus during the school year
Oh, I
for all the college
gotcha.
kids. So it'll
All right.
drive through campus, drop people off. It'll pick them up too. So
Mm-hmm.
I lost my phone on it once on my birthday. I think I
Oh,
turned
no.
22. And I was tracking my phone on Find My iPhone, and I could see the route, and I was like, "It's on the fucking bus." I was like, "Oh god,
How
no way
funny.
it makes it around one more loop to my apartment." And sure it did. I got lucky.
All the buses I drove in
It's on the
Phoenix were
bus.
either bums, cracked out, or aged out, or whatever maybe the case may be. But I used to ride the bus all across the like to drive. I used to live in this small town, and it was a suburb of Phoenix called Levine, and I'd take a bus from there all the way to Mesa. That was an 8-hour bus ride, one way to get there. So needless to say, it's like I had to plan my
8
entire day.
hours.
It sucked. Or if you want to go the south side all the way to the north side, you're looking at 6-7 hours as well because you have to cross through everything because there's so many stops in between.
Yeah. I know right now it's Swamp, like a stuntman. He's a guy that I just like know from the internet. Like he's a really cool Canadian guy, lives on like a reservation. But they have one bus out of town, right? And they live on an island. So if you miss the bus in the middle, like the start of the day, it won't pick you back up until like 3 or 4 at night. But he had to take it into wherever, like British Columbia somewhere. And he said that somebody else on his bus had to make like 8 stops before he could get to where he needed to go. So like that's his like example of public transportation, and he absolutely hates it. But I know that's like kind of the res transport or whatever. But he said it took him what was gonna be a 6-hour bus ride there and back turned into a 13-hour bus ride there and back. And his entire
Shit.
family was with him, and they had to like, go get groceries or whatever. And he said it took an entire day from him.
Fuck, that's rough.
So I'm happy that we don't have that bad of transport, but
My uncle, he lived in New York. He lived in Monticello, which is kind of up in the mountains. And he would commute to New York City every day. So he'd drive 2 hours from and he had a beautiful plot of land, but he would drive from his house to a bus stop and then take the bus another 2 hours to get to New York City, just so he could work for a full 8-9 hours and then he'd do the commute back. He lived alone, just a very he was a hermit, and he liked that type
that
of
makes a little
lifestyle.
more sense because I mean that's literally a 16-hour day.
That's his whole day. It was his
It's
whole
his whole
day.
life, man.
Yeah.
But he must have been making he must have been making bank.
He made a lot of money. He actually lives in La Crosse now.
Oh, so he wanted to raise.
He wanted to be closer to family, so he moved here, and he lives in, I won't say the slums, but not like a really nice part. He just doesn't care. He like just works all day.
yeah.
So
I mean, most people who work all day do not care where they live. I'm gonna tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you're not even home to, like, care about it. Or if you work from home, you just have to, like, make sure that your makeshift office is good enough to live in, and then, like, nothing else really matters,
Well, you used
you
to live in the
know?
mountains, so it's like he has the case to fuck around and find out. You know, he's old enough not to lose, so it's like I'm sure he knows a thing or two.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was nothing in the town that he lived in other than a a pizza joint. Um,
Had to been fired to survive.
yeah, his go-to pizza, and I guess it's my favorite pizza too, is black olive and ham.
Okay.
No,
Not a black olive fan, but I like ham.
yeah, yeah.
Ham
What's
is ham is okay on pizza.
black olive and
I
ham?
feel like you need to have not olives, but pineapple on that.
That's just Hawaiian
Yeah, but Hawaiian ham, you know, it's good.
then. Hmm. Yeah, but anyway. But yeah, I mean that type of lifestyle, just being very, like a recluse. I don't know if I could do it.
I got you. Yeah. I'm too social of a butterfly to not be active in something.
I feel like I could be a hermit, but I would have to have the stipulation of like being able to have everybody over to my house, you know? Like I would still have to like interact with people occasionally. Like I feel like I couldn't do it for
You
more than
couldn't
like
go out, but you could be a host. So everyone
yeah.
come to
Well,
you.
I mean, and I'm okay with going out too. I think it's just I don't like drink anymore. I don't really go downtown or anything like that anymore. When I say drink, I literally have a drink in my hand. But
You're not going.
I
You're
don't,
not
I
going
don't go
out.
downtown
Right.
Yeah. Neither do I.
anymore.
It's like I have a
But
buddy of mine coming into town. He wants to go. He wants to go downtown for Oktoberfest. Is like I can give two fucks less, man. It's like I've already done it. We did it once a couple years ago. You know, like I
yeah,
was. So you could probably get a kick out of it. So we were down by Dooley's there, and I'm sitting there. Him and I are just bullshitting. I'm talking to these people out in front. All of a sudden, somebody comes up behind me and grabs my kilt and lifts it up. And it's like it's like what the. I'm looking up. And as I turn my head. There's two cops just laughing.
Was it just pure cheeks or what?
Oh yes, pure cheeks. Oh yeah, I am. It's like I'm.
He's
I live
committed.
it.
He's
I live
committed.
it.
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
my god,
I can appreciate the air conditioning, man. I understand why women like going commando in dresses.
Yeah, yeah. No, Oktoberfest is a hoot. We don't have a year off. We work every single Oktoberfest. It's the busiest time of the year. Obviously, it brings like 100,000 people.
yeah,
across.
they double our pay on Oktoberfest. We don't even really do anything downtown.
Yeah, they double us too. Wait, you guys are downtown?
No, we don't
No,
do
not
anything
even, not
we
even
don't-
close.
That's what I'm saying. We don't do anything downtown. It's just like lack of staff that weekend because
Oh, I bet.
everybody asked off for
I
it.
bet.
Not
They didn't
me.
even let
No.
people like take vacation.
Oh, really?
Anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, we can't either.
because we had nobody there. Like nobody would want to work.
Yeah.
I'd be there.
And see, that's the thing. Like with the industry you are,
Well-
if things go tits up, man, that entire area, it's like who's gonna take care of those kids? It's like they're gonna be fend for themselves. It's like
Well, I've thought about that all the time because, like, yeah,
Yeah.
what if, shit hit the fan and I was at my job, right? It's like an alien movie at that point. Like, you're like, okay, we got zombies outside the fencing. At least we have a little bit of protection, but there's not
It's
much.
gonna test your morals.
Yeah.
Do I leave these kids?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, like, I would have to leave for at least a couple of minutes, you know, because I'd have to go back to my house and at least armor up a little bit. But we'd have enough staff, I think, at our job where they're like rightfully trained and like I'd trust them with like firearms if it was a zombie apocalypse or like, you know, if it was like a nuclear fallout situation, we could at least get the kids to like the nuclear fallout shelter. But it is kind of something that goes through your head when you're at work. Like, what if, you know, shit hit the fan right now? What would I be doing? How would my escape plan be?
go ahead.
Who would I be getting first? Like, who would we be getting out? And then, like, you know, from there, you just kind of have to think, like, okay, would it be a good place to secure? Would you have to move somewhere else? Like, there's so many different scenarios.
Zombies, all you have to do is wait 64 days, and most of the time flesh will rot. You just gotta
Yeah,
hope.
that's the scenario, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if zombies happen, like, you in your field, you're going to be fine.
I'm going
You work
straight to
from
the
home,
PD.
you
Yeah, we
chilling.
are stacked.
You guys got ammo for days.
We have a lot of.
Hell, I might even be there.
I'm just getting the Bearcat.
Oh.
That thing will. Yeah.
Yeah,
not
you
a
guys are
problem. I'll
fine.
Run over some
But
zombies.
you know, like everybody else who just works in like everyday jobs, you know, they kind of go through the ringer for the
Yeah, it's
first 2
true.
months. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, what would be your best? Okay, so if the end of the world happened and it was a zombie apocalypse, where would you guys hold out? What would be like your number one like relocate position?
PD.
PD?
You know, it wouldn't be too hard to do. It's like you'd just go out to the bluff country. you'd be able to find yourself a position up above everything, so this way everybody has to walk up to you, and you put yourself in a platform tree stand, something like that, or create a tree fort, so you see everything walk around. You just got to be basically essentially be quiet, or you just put yourself in a position where you're just high enough to just stab them in the head.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're gonna be surrounded by food, so it's like you just got to position yourself near a water source.
I think I'm grabbing a boat and going to an island.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of local island
I can
sandbars.
fish. I can provide my own food. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
can make my own shelter on the island.
Yeah. Yeah, similar to like having all you need basically is a 22. If you have a couple of thousand rounds of 22, you'd be able to harvest any animal
zombies
you need
can't
to.
swim. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like you
Pretty
would
much
only need a
safe.
22 in that situation
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Like you
squirrel-
wouldn't need to be packing.
squirrel hunt all day, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Squirrel, rabbit, you can
Whatever,
kill,
right.
you can kill, a well placed shot will kill a deer, stuff like that too as well. I wouldn't want to fuck around with a bear, but
No,
you know,
no. That just
Hopefully
make
you're
it
not
bad.
gonna have a bear on the island.
yeah.
I think my
But
number
yeah, I'm
one
stuck with cocaine bear or something.
the most apex predator on the planet.
Gacked out.
With a 22.
Good luck, man. I'm not gonna be on that island. I think I would rob a pet store. That would be like my first relocation spot. I would rob a pet store, get all of the water, food, all the dog food. It wouldn't matter because you're kind of just surviving for what?
About 64 days.
64 days before rot flushes off the human body or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first like week, I would rob every pet store in the area because no one else is gonna go there. Nobody else goes to pet stores.
Plus, they're going to have
then-
medicines on staff too as well. It's about a lot of stuff.
I was
to get-
gonna say
be
they're
in a
gonna have a
species.
lot of antibiotics. They're gonna have a lot of like things that people just like don't think of, but you're gonna need, right?
Mhm.
And then after I go to that pet store, I would come back here, hopefully have my solar panels set up out front, and I'm just gonna defend the front lawn. I'm gonna do that like it's my job.
If you're in a house like this, I feel like your biggest concern wouldn't even be the zombies. It'd be people seeking shelter. They'd see like solar panels. They'd be like, that guy's self-sufficient.
Yeah,
We want
shoot
what
'em.
he has.
Yeah,
You know, like
I don't want to
looters.
become a loot box.
Yeah, yeah.
That's usually the biggest thing, the biggest concern you want to be. The nice thing about being a fat guy, it's like you just start going on a fast.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You just slowly go there because, like, for you, it's like you start putting weight on. It's like, what the fuck are you eating right here, man? At least I can buy myself like 30 to 60 days of just leaning, just like immediately go on a diet and just
See,
slowly.
you
eat.
think that, but you starve at the same rate as anybody else.
Oh,
Right?
for sure. But it's
But
like,
you know, get one of
but
those.
at
Like,
least this way that I'm not thriving. I'm shrinking. So
you
it's
just like
I'm
water fast for
surviving.
a couple of days. Like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like do like water only for
Mhm,
like 3-4
mhm.
days, and then you might get lean by the end of the 2-month period or whatever.
right.
Wait, so zombies die after? I mean, what if they don't? Zombies
What,
don't
what
die.
if they do say like The Walking Dead? They're like 15 years later, you know?
You know,
Well, depending
I
on
mean,
like if
15 seasons.
if
sorry,
if
not
they do
years, but-
Walking Dead or if they go all World War Z or go to Zombieland, it's like every zombie is going to be a different scenario. But
Yeah,
you just
World
gotta,
War Z zombies would be the worst.
you just got to give yourself
Can you
range
imagine?
weapons.
I'm not Brad Pitt. I'm not surviving
those
that.
things are fast.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Usain Bolt fast.
Yeah.
all of them.
Every single one.
Where
Of
did they get their training? How are they this good at
They're
what they do?
sprinters.
Dude, you have to inject yourself with cancer to get rid of that one.
That's
Like
trade-off. I'm not-
leukemia.
Yeah, I don't,
I don't know if
Just let me
leukemia or dying from zombies. I think I'm taking the zombies.
yeah, just let me go.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Like, I mean, I guess chemo, you could probably treat it, but
If everything's going to shit,
yeah,
you know
who's going to give you chemo?
Yeah,
like,
who's
you
gonna
know,
give the
one's
right
there. The doctor
What's the
died.
Will Smith one? I Am Legend.
I Am
I Am
Legend,
Legend,
yeah.
yeah.
Good one too.
Dude, those
Mhm.
zombies are smart.
Those zombies are omniscient.
Well, because they were
know what they're doing.
They were like
I think
pulling
those ones are
tracks
taken over
on
by a
him in the
parasite.
daytime to get him to lure in.
like they're almost like a parasitic instead of like a rotting thing. So it's like they're still being functional, and so
Yeah.
they're eating to sustain stuff. Like 'cause they shouldn't rot away. So it's like they have a parasitic aspect where they just go to a basic primitive lizard brain.
I love I Am Legend too because that movie had so many different like reshoots and alternate endings, and they have apparently there's a second one coming out. I don't know how true that is.
Chris Rock, like the main the head zombie.
Comedian in there.
No, it's Kevin Hart now.
Kevin Hart, yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart or David Chappelle. Like,
Dude, they're just cranking movies for
when's
things that
the,
don't
what's
need like
the
the
last
Borderlands
movie
one.
you've seen? Oh, dude, Borderlands, I heard got like a negative score on like their critic
You see the
review.
director?
And they had to give a pity 10% because of how bad they felt for giving the first movie ever on IMDb a 0.
the director was like, just watch it. It's not that bad.
Just watch it.
Seriously, just go and watch
Just
it.
watch it.
No one else is. You might as well enjoy the content.
Ah,
It's kind of like I watched Mad Max Furiosa, and it's like that was just a precursor that was unnecessary. But overall, though, was still a good movie. And
Mhm.
George Miller did a good job of taking being in this current time of being DEI hires and in ESG. He managed to make a decent movie. You know,
First
'cause
Mad Max was incredible.
with
Like in
Fury
the
Road,
80s
are you
or like the
talking
remake?
78.
Well, the 80s was
The old 80s one
was really good, but the one that
Mhm.
they made in the 2010s, or
Yeah,
yeah, it was the
that was Fury Road. Yep.
2010
Mhm.
era, yeah.
that was I love that.
It was
one.
pretty good, yeah.
Because they still had Mad Max in there, but it's like they had a good balance between everything. Because if you watch some of the older ones, Mel Gibson, he wasn't really the main protagonist of the whole thing, or wasn't really the hero. So I felt like they had a really nice homage to everything for the balance for it. But the cinematography for it and stuff like that, and the gal that did it, she normally does musicals, and she won her first Oscar because of how she edited that movie. It's like,
Well, dude, think about like how you edit like even like a YouTube video, you like edit around the music, and I don't think a lot of people do that. So if you have like an Oscar winner now, I guess
yeah, no,
Oscar
she's
winner,
Oscar winner for doing like how
um,
many musicals? Like, hey, I do
yeah,
a sci-fi.
editing the entire movie like a musical piece would be phenomenal. I haven't even seen the new like Fury Road one. I haven't even seen the
Fury
new
Road
Mad
came out
Max.
2015.
Yeah, I haven't-
Furiosa just
haven't
came
seen
out this
them.
week on streaming services.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like
I don't have any of those, but yeah,
yeah. Well, you stream. You just
I acquire them.
you
You can
acquire
borrow
them.
them. You can borrow mine.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, all right, fuck me. I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm good.
I just happen to be
I
honest.
wasn't gonna watch it anyway.
You seen the new Deadpool?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Haven't seen it yet.
Have you seen it?
I
Oh,
can't
yes,
tell
I
if
did.
it. I couldn't tell if it was sarcasm.
Yeah, no, I saw it. No,
Oh, it's
no,
hilarious.
We like it was the first movie me and my wife went to in years, and so it's like,
When
it
was
worth it.
when was the last movie that you went to before that?
I think it was Halloween Kills, or was it Halloween?
Evil Dies Tonight. That
Oh,
movie,
that one, yeah,
the one that we went to.
yeah, that was trash. That Ryan
Wait,
debated that was good.
Is that with Michael
trash.
Myers?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Dude,
they,
Yeah.
that dude needs to die.
How-
they did kill him. They
They-
finally did kill him.
no,
No,
they
they
didn't.
didn't.
Though.
No,
But
they
they had to
fucking
throw him in a trash.
No, they didn't though.
No, they didn't, dude.
Yeah, that was
well,
like the whole thing.
He comes back every
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
well,
they
no,
beat
I've
it.
been a diehard
They're-
fan since
Connor,
Paul
I'm
Rudd
not
got
even
started.
kidding. There's a part in the movie where there are 8 people stopping him with spiked bats and kicking him on the ground and trying to kill him, and they couldn't kill him.
dude. At the end of every
The dude like Jedi rips like everybody off. He's force powers all go flying. It's like a cluster of
Opening
people.
scene though was pretty legit though, where he comes out of the fire and he just starts hacking away all the firemen. That was pretty cool. But then after there just went to dog shit.
Well, yeah, because they like rebooted the movie and then they did like another trilogy, and then I
Mhm.
think they're planning to do another trilogy.
there's like 9 to 25 movies
9 to
What?
25 movies.
Yeah.
But
somewhere in that range.
they
Might
don't
Myers-
count Halloween like 2 through 8, the original ones, because those are not lore. Those are not canon.
Yeah,
And I couldn't even tell you like why. I watched an entire breakdown of it because sometimes I just fall into those YouTube rabbit holes where you like watch entire lore videos for things that you don't care about at all. And I watched an entire breakdown of like what is canon, what isn't canon, why this is canon, why he
Mhm.
came back in the first place. It was like maybe a 3-hour video essay on it. I just put it on in the background. I was editing videos.
Mhm.
And I learned nothing, but I learned that they need to end the movie. Like,
Yeah, it's
need,
time.
They need to put it to it.
It's
They
like
need to put her down.
it's like Fast
know?
and Furious. Like enough's enough. We've seen all you can do with cars.
We need
It's all a cat.
no.
trap at
We
this point
we
in
need
time.
another Death Race. We need like a
Yes.
remake of Death
Yes.
Race.
We
Or
need a twist.
rollerball.
We need a
Bro.
twist. We need Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Twisted Metal. In,
Yes.
The TV series
Yeah.
is doing a pretty solid job.
Is there a
There's a
Twisted Metal
TV show?
show?
Yeah, it's on
there's a-
Paramount. Yeah, it's actually pretty solid.
Really?
Yeah, I liked it. It's actually got a really good story arc. The main guy that plays the clown is a former wrestler, so it's like who better not to play because he's able to project himself in such a way. It's really fun. And they have Nev Campbell in it. They have Falcon in there. What's his face? But I thought it was really fun. Very
Man.
fun, lighthearted. I
Dude,
thought it was
Twisted
very
Metal
source,
takes me back.
very
Like,
close to source.
PS2.
booting up the
Yeah.
PS1, and then you just put the disc in there, and you're like, okay, let's go. And then you play Twisted Metal for all games.
You know,
Twist Metal 2 played
Dude,
the
they-
shit out of that
You
game.
know, like Warhammer 40K tried to make a Twisted Metal like knockoff game recently, and I guess it's doing pretty well, like sales wise and all that. But it is like a 1-to-1 Twisted Metal like new game in Unreal Engine and all that.
I loved that game back
Yeah.
in the day. I remember I used to play Need for Speed as well, and I would drive legally. You know, like I would try not to speed on Need for Speed.
Look
Stop
at this.
for all the
It's
stoplights.
it's cock
He
training
was
complete.
he
I was
training.
foreshadowing.
In GTA, he's never even killed a hooker.
never.
Never.
Perfect
Not on
candidate,
purpose.
perfect citizen.
No, but
It was only after he did the deed. Okay, then he killed him for the money.
what's the last movie you cried at? Or cried to?
Mel Gibson's Braveheart, but I was also like, it was before middle school for me, so
It's
like,
been that long,
yeah, I
No
haven't
shit.
cried at a movie in a long time.
dude. I can cry like on a whim. Like
I think
I cried.
Wonder, the
Wonder?
movie. Yeah, it was the last movie I
What's
cried.
that one about?
It's about the deformed kid. Like he has like a deformity in his face, and like he hides it in like an astronaut helmet for most of the movie, and then like he goes to school and becomes friends, and like fights through it. You know,
Hmm.
I cried at that one.
That's a good one. I've never seen it, but it sounds amazing.
Sounds- it actually sounds
pretty,
Sounds
it's pretty
poetic
good.
and
Yeah.
hard to watch, and dude, like the last like really hard movie to watch where it's like kind of takes on that kind of role where you have like somebody with a deformity or something like
Mm.
that. It was Rain Man.
Mm.
So I had never seen Rain Man until
That's a good movie.
Oh, somebody recommended it to me at our job because like we do work with kids with autism. So I was like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, like it would be probably good to just consume like general media, see what people think about it, you know? And like Rain Man, solid film. I'd never seen it before, probably 2 years. Like now, I guess it would be almost a year and a half. But same kind of thing. You have like that one character that quite can't do everything, but you know, there's always somebody there, you know, but it's like it was a really good example of like where people with autism, I guess, kind of get like left behind or stuck away from society because they can't really do everything. But if you have like somebody there to like help them, they actually do pretty incredible things, you know? So
Mhm.
it tugged the heartstrings. I can't say it made me
And
cry.
like Wonder
but-
for me is like the new like Mask. I don't know if you've seen that.
like
old...
Jim Carrey.
No.
No, this would be the one that Eric Stoltz. This would be a
Yeah.
remake for one he did back in 81, 82.
80s, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a movie buff, so it's like I've been watching movies for a
I can
long
tell,
time.
yeah.
Yeah. When he
I've
said
never
The
seen a
Mask,
movie
it's like,
before,
I
so-
knew what you were talking about with Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
Dude, the
Mhm.
last movie I cried at, and y'all ain't gonna like this.
Mean Girls.
Kung Fu Panda 4, bro. Three, bro.
Three.
And the worst part, dude, I was on a date, right?
Oh no.
The girl was sitting to my
How'd she
left.
take this?
Well, I'm a tactical crier. So I
She's
cried.
no longer
Did
with
it with
her.
a purpose.
She's no longer with her.
She's sitting to my left. I'm crying on my right. This eye is dry. I'm just not blinking with it. I'm letting this eye cry. Master Oogway, when he went to the spirit realm,
Ah, okay.
nah, dude. We got done. She's like, wow, that was a good movie. I was like, yeah, it was. Pretty good.
I can't recall last time I cried at a movie. I don't think I ever really cried at a movie.
Pretty good.
I mean, I like put it this way, I watch horror movies just to get a jump scare, but it's like I've watched so many of them, I really don't feel the sensation for it.
When is the last time that you've been scared at a movie though?
Mm.
Like be honest.
Oh man, it had to be back in the 90s of my early movie career. These days,
Yeah,
like
that's
everything
like-
is very
Like
predictable.
The Omen was pretty good from like the 90s. I can think of like that one kind of has like a flash in the pan for me where I'm like, oh yeah, it was but the first I remember the first Paranormal Activity movie, that was like super hyped up. And like when I went there, I like wasn't scared at all.
No.
I remember when Mama came out in theaters, and I remember like the part where she first starts walking across the room, and that was
Mhm.
like jolting, but I wasn't
Like scared.
panicking.
No,
I wasn't jumping from my seat. I wasn't really scared for my life, you know? You know, when you go back and watch the old Alien movies, you can kind of get a jump scare. You can kind of see where people would have been like that back in the day. But now that I've watched so many different horror movies, I feel like I've been almost desensitized to the entire idea of going into a movie expecting a scare, you know? And I know like the new thriller movies are just not cutting it. Megan, when that came out in theaters, I
Right.
saw that. I was turned off instantly.
It's just a new
Um,
Chucky movie.
But I talked to
Like-
normies and I talked to people who generally go like enjoy scary movies when they go there. And they all said that one was amazing.
No.
did
I
not
was
connect
not.
to
I
me
was
at
not
all.
a fan.
The casual base, love that movie. And
What's your top two?
for
Favorite
scary
and
for
I'm
scary
asking this
movies.
because I love horror movies, and
Yeah,
if I'm home alone at night, which I am because don't have a girlfriend.
you have an almost girlfriend though.
Sure, I hope she's
Yeah.
watching. I would love.
She's not yet.
I
No.
love watching. I love watching horror movies.
Your
I
baby
love,
will. Your baby will watch.
Yeah,
no, she won't.
No,
She
she
just
won't.
yeah, she will.
She'll
For,
just
for
bite,
2 seconds.
she'll just bite me right before the client. But no, I'm asking so that I can have like a little list of movies to look up because my favorite
Yeah,
horror movies, the ones that stick with me the most, are probably
It Follows.
It Follows. We've talked
That's a
about that.
great.
That's a good movie. We watched that one, dude. That was
It Follows is
yeah.
amazing.
I love that movie. I've watched it so many times. Second, the one that probably stuck with me most of my childhood is probably The Ring.
Okay.
And
solid.
just like for some reason, and I watch it now, and I'm like, it just doesn't have the same effect. But just
Mhm.
like the idea of it back then was so
Yeah.
powerful.
Oh yeah.
Creepy girl walking out of a
Mhm.
television set after you got a phone call that you were gonna die,
gonna
in,
die
7
in
days?
7 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yo,
sure.
bitch, who is this? You know, like the scary movie. Yeah. What else? There's a Japanese movie.
Ju-on, The Grudge,
No, but
Ooh.
I was
Level 13.
No, I was watching a YouTube video about like the scariest movie. It was a really, really well made video, and it was the scariest scene of any horror movie. And like this guy was breaking down the scene and like the cinematography of it, choreography of it, because this like dark shadow, ominous figure was at the end of a black hallway, and just
Oh,
the way
Babadook.
Polaroid.
and just like the way it approached, like it was like a dancing approach.
Slender Man.
Yeah.
Like
Like that type of horror for me is the ones that stick. The like The Grudge, The Ring,
Yeah.
It Follows. I don't like the in your face like I'm a
Mhm.
monster.
Are you a
Like,
fan
what about-
of the movies like the I guess it would be like the Annabelle series and like the Conjuring and all of that universe?
I'll watch 'em.
There's an entire universe.
I'll
for
watch
it.
them. Like I like.
The Nun is pretty good.
I thought The Nun was okay.
The
Yeah, I
Nun
thought
2
it was
is
okay.
alright too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all right. Nothing crazy. Sinister. I liked Sinister. Sinister was good.
Sinister was great.
The Evil Dead, the remake.
Hereditary.
The Evil Dead.
Evil-
Hereditary is one of the greatest.
The Evil Dead Rise is pretty good. The Evil Dead is pretty good.
Mhm.
Evil Dead 2 obviously is okay.
Hereditary is one
But
of
those are
the
in
one of the
80s.
better horror movies for sure.
I think so too.
In
So
my book.
if I had to recommend 2 movies to you specifically, I would say watch Ju-on, and that is The Grudge, but it's it's non-westernized, so it's like the non-American version.
Mm.
Ju-on 2 in particular, one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen. And then The Exorcist, the original Exorcist, is amazing. I have a poster of that down the hall.
Mhm.
That is one of my favorite movies. And if you watch the director's cut of that movie, that's what I would recommend. You get like the extra hour in the front. There's literally like it's like a 3-hour movie, but it explains a lot more of the horror that's going on around you. And I really like the atmosphere of that movie.
Mhm. So that's a good one too. Another
The Omen from the 90s is really good. He mentioned that.
yeah. Another one would be Amityville Horror, but the one with Ryan Reynolds, phenomenal remake.
The
Is that
one
like
from
2000
2004, 2005.
Yeah, 2004. Yeah. So that's a good one. But a good one that's a sleeper that I think is very underrated would be Fallen. It's with Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland, James Gandolfini.
Oh my God,
Elias
Jeff just
Colt.
has like a list.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, it's like well, 'cause he gave
No,
me his-
no, you're good.
I'm
You're good.
finding
I'm not
that,
making
like,
fun of
I
you. I'm
used
just saying
his
I like it.
references to find out what would make sense. But this one's a sleeper. I watched it. Well,
Like it's gonna
When it
put me
first-
to sleep, or it's gonna be like
no, no, it's
Sleeper.
like no one's talking about it.
Like you are gonna pass the fuck out.
well, the movie
bud.
came out like 1996, so it's been around for like
I mean,
30 years.
that's my age right there.
Yeah.
Your age almost.
How old are you?
Then the
Oh,
other
you're
one
like a year older than me.
mentally though.
Mentally, I am. Yeah, I mean, I got one brain cell working around up here,
I think
but
it's working overtime.
dude, I mean,
What's that?
low
kid's-
key,
what's a
low
kid's movie?
key millionaire before 30. That was the only plan I ever had. I made it.
What's
Success.
Yeah.
what's that?
Successful brain cell, Kato.
What's that kid's
You
movie?
can't say it. You can't say the same.
What's the kids movie that has the like all the little like cartoons like up there working at like a computer station?
Oh, inside or
Inside
inside
Out.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it isn't just one character.
One guy.
You're running
It's
across.
just anxiety. It's like the SpongeBob episode. Like,
like
everything's on fire.
It's
I'm
like,
running
Taco,
around.
it's like Taco Bell
What's
after
my
midnight.
name?
Dude, it gets the job done.
It's literally just like
Um,
Taco Bell after midnight. There's just one
Dude, I
employee.
love Taco Bell after midnight. Oh my
Mhm.
god.
And then the next one I recommend came out in 2014. It's called "Deliver Us from Evil." It's with Eric Bana. I thought, and this one's from New York. I thought it was done so well that it's actually pretty believable. Next to Seven, that came out in like 94, 95.
Movies that aren't really that scary, but like As Above, So Below kind of comes to mind. It's kind of more of like a thriller, like a mind fuck.
That's
you
not
know?
too old, is it? I think I've
No,
seen it.
2012 maybe. But I mean, that's old now. Like, there hasn't really been the hardest thing about current movies is that like we have not had a good horror movie in 7 years. So when you talk about recent, everything is like, oh yeah, recent as of like 2010 to like 20 roughly
Last 7
2019.
years? You don't think so?
Name one. You can't.
You're not gonna like what I say though.
Well, is it like scary or is it like a thriller?
It's like a jump scare type of movie.
Okay.
And for some reason I kind of like those, especially in the theater.
Like The
atmosphere.
Devil Inside or something like that.
No, I was thinking Smile. Have you seen that?
I've
Again, not-
seen
I don't
that
think
one.
I've
not
seen that one.
scary.
That one was kind of scary. I'll be honest.
Because what was the other one like? Smile had come out a year after Truth or Die or Truth or Dare. I don't remember.
Is that the one with the hand?
That's Talk to Me. Talk to Me was like really not good.
Yeah, I didn't.
I
Watch
mean,
it. I didn't bother.
I had tried that one like 4 different times. I'd fallen asleep like 3, 4 times, and then finally finished it. And I was like, it was not worth my time.
What's that movie?
I feel bad.
Split
though,
is a
'cause
really good one. That's a really good psychological one.
I like the universe behind that one. Like it's Unbreakable,
Mhm.
Split, and what's the other one in that? What came
Glass.
before?
Glass is the last one because it goes
Glass.
Unbreakable, Split, and then Glass.
Yeah,
But
I like the universe behind that one.
But
I feel
Split
like they should
itself
build
is a
that out.
phenomenally well done, directed one. The fact that what's his face was able to do so well with it in so many different ways is phenomenal. If you're looking for really good, like classic cinematography along with some old school sci-fi, would be The Thing. Came out in 1982.
Mm.
Oh, so you've seen that one?
I've
Yeah,
seen
The
that.
Thing
It's
is
been many
amazing.
years, but
Have you
Yeah.
seen Event Horizon?
Ooh,
don't-
that's a good one.
I don't think I have.
Okay, so
Event
Event
Horizon's
Horizon, write
phenomenal.
that down. It's like a 91 film? 95?
95, 96.
Okay, yeah. So that one, it's like a psychological horror, but there are some scenes where but I don't know how much you like gore. I never asked.
Dude, I see the worst of the worst.
It's
It's like,
re-
like,
it's
you, like, you think,
reality.
like you think about movie gore
Yeah.
versus
I'm thinking like,
real,
Saw,
real gore.
like taking your eye out with a
Like I've seen a lot
with
of
a razor
terrible
blade or
shit,
something.
you know, like the real life shit. Because when it's on film, it's pretty gore in a way, you know. Like
yeah,
they,
it's
Yeah.
it's almost too,
obviously
it's like almost too perfectly. When you see it in reality, it's terrible.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like. I mean, I don't like gore, but I can handle it. I
Okay.
can stomach it.
So yeah, like Event Horizon's great. There's a guy who has to go through it on that set. But it's got like the psychological element. The whole like good versus evil aspect is in there. There's a lot of like weird time things. You remember the Cloverfield movies?
Mhm.
They did Cloverfield Paradox, which is like kind of that sci-fi-esque version of it. They're up in space and all of these weird things happen. Really not that good of a movie, but they do try to do like the psychological thriller type thing,
What about Cabin in the Woods?
that might go down as
That's
one of
a
the best movies
that's a
in a
fun one.
long time.
I thought it was a good
Yeah.
one. I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, but it's not scary.
No, but it was very
Like the
interesting.
twist is amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I
You
thought it
press
was
the button and then everything just comes out of
Resident
the
Evil,
elevators.
the first Resident Evil.
You like
Dude,
the new Resident Evils?
No. I like the games more than I like the movies, but I remember the game, like playing the game. I wasn't even old enough to play the game. My mom was playing the games when I was younger.
She gave you the controller.
I
you
was-
could pretend to play.
I was
Not
so-
even plugged in.
Like, I was so
Yeah,
scared I couldn't be in the
classic.
room with her while she was playing.
Mhm.
But I remember watching the movie when I got a little bit older, and yeah, I thought it was like nice. It was cool to have like that was the first instance where I feel like I had a game that had a movie to tag along with it in my brain, where I was like, oh, shoot, there's a movie with this. That's cool. Like to kind of picture
Did you
things
play
in
the
real life.
Silent Hill games growing up?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Silent Hill movies are pretty
They're
good.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
They're
The first
not
one's pretty
like
solid.
scary, quote unquote, but they make you think. They put
Mm-hmm.
you in like that first person view. You kind of got like a lot to like. Why does this character exist? What is their motive? Type thing. And like the fog and like the sirens and it's all like iconic.
What about 27 days? Is it 28 days later?
20
The
days.
zombie
That's a
one.
phenomenal
That's
movie.
great.
That's a good one. And then
That's a
there's
good
isn't there 28?
28 days later, and then
28
28
weeks.
years later comes
28
out
weeks
this
later,
year.
and then
Oh,
we're
this
doing
year, next
another
year?
one.
20 years later, it has been officially been announced they're in production. The guy that's
All
in
right.
that
Very
was
nice.
in first one and second one, he's going to be in the third one, which
So
was
it's gonna be
also
like really old.
let's see, we're no, it's not on that. He's on the other. He's on the first Batman. He was Scarecrow, but he's
Oh
also
yeah,
Peaky Blinders.
yeah,
That guy,
yeah.
Oppenheimer, his biggest hit.
I can't think of his name right
Yeah.
now. That's gonna bug me. But
But it's like you ever watch him when he's around the prince stuff like that because he's flat out Irish, keeps his hand in his pockets and stuff like that. Man, he didn't there that feud goes deep because it's like you could see him as the prince
The
walking
feud
by and
goes
see him.
deep.
It's like, oh yeah, it's legit history.
Have you seen The Witch?
Yes.
oh,
With-
that
with-
one's
with Black Phillip?
fucked.
Mhm.
I
Dude,
hated that movie.
All I'm saying
Right.
is, I went there on a date, right? This was many years ago.
Yeah, me and Kayla fell asleep during that
I
movie.
was pretty, I was pretty snoozy, but they got towards the end, they're in the barn, and Black Phillip is just like, "Dost thou to live deliciously?" And I was like, "Philip, my man, you can talk." But it's like you're waiting the whole movie for it.
Yeah.
You know, like
You know
do.
what I will say about The Witch? Very well done.
Mhm.
In terms of the time era and like how people would have interacted with each other and how people would have like seen the witch in their neighborhood and how people would have been talked during that time and all the historical referencing in that movie. Amazing. But it doesn't make for an interactive or like immersive story from nowadays.
I think my
And that's me looking at it like a
We still have to talk to him
non-historical.
about his top two. here, man.
Yeah, top two movies.
I think my favorite, like right now, like I sit down and watch a scary movie, be 1408.
Oh, with John Cusack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
What's
Yeah.
that on?
I don't know if it's on any streaming services right now.
Redbox?
It might be on Redbox.
It's been out for a
It's
couple.
been out for a
almost
while.
Gotta do one.
15 years.
Yeah, I might
Something
need
like
another
that.
cube, though.
Okay, yeah.
Does anybody else need a cube? You need
No,
a
I'm
cube?
good. I'm.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
good.
you ran it away. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. That was fun. That
Yeah,
was
I
that
like
was a
that
fun one.
1408.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's about like in a hotel room.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Bug is a fun one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a sleeper because that was the one that the director of Exorcism did that one when it came out. But it's like when you've been immersed in the tweaker culture and you see it, it's like fuck that movie is like down.
Mhm.
Like that can legit happen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What is Bug about?
It's about
Bug,
these two,
you said?
yeah,
Bug,
it's with
like
Ashley Judd in it.
Bug.
Yeah, Bug. It's about a couple of. It has also Michael Shannon in it, where
You
they
know-
just get high out of their mind and they're on
Not
meth.
that we have to
and-
talk about it. What's your favorite? Like, my favorite like drug based movie is Blow.
Oh,
That's a great one.
good choice.
Yeah.
Great one.
Never seen it.
Oh.
Yeah, you're just making stuff up
I
at
didn't
this
think
point.
No, Lucy is a movie with Scarlett Johansson,
Oh, that's the one where she unlocks like 99% of her brain and
where
blows
she's
people up.
where she's
She's like a
Okay,
she's like a
right.
Wonder Woman esque or like a Black Widow type.
no, she's just an entity that comes in and then she just plugs herself in. It's like a
Are you
basically
done
an AI.
drinking?
Yeah.
Okay. I know you have work tomorrow. I know you.
No,
have
no,
work
it's not
tomorrow.
work. I have to drive home.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
forgot about that. Yeah, that's tough.
Head thing. So
Yeah, concussion. Hashtag.
And it's just like making that right hand turn on the lacrosse track. I see two cops. And like every time I leave, there's always cops.
Well, you
parked
know
there.
what? Now you're gonna be fine. No.
That does not get you out of a DUI.
Not with that mentality, Jack. I'm kidding.
What in tarnation?
What's going on?
Here, done gave out on me, brother.
I gotta
Fine.
glue it then, huh?
No, that's fine.
but I think my second horror
Thank you
movie,
for
like
grabbing ice.
top two would be there'd be like Jeepers Creepers 1 or
That's a
2.
good one, too.
I love those.
It just sucks. After you
Yeah.
find out that the director's a pedophile, it's like it's kind of just
Yeah.
Why'd you tell me?
Wait, what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah, he got arrested. Yeah, that's why the
Alright, we're
fourth-
done.
Yeah.
That one's not good.
Yeah.
You got
Charges that you actually went to jail for. Yeah.
Oh,
But
jail or
Hollywood-
prison?
Well, he's a celebrity,
here,
so it's
I-
like he got slapped on the
I
wrist.
forgot to pour.
Oh, jail,
honestly.
jail or prison? Because
I think he was only there for 2 years, so it's like
Prison.
probably yeah.
prison. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't get the prison justice we're looking
Oh yeah,
for.
because
but
what
he's back
jail
out
is
there.
like 40 days or something.
No,
like
jail is up to a year.
Yeah.
Up
But
to
you
a
can
year.
stay there
Yeah.
longer depending. I mean,
You gotta get
the
the
judicial
judicial
system-
longer.
the judicial system right now is so backed up that it's hard to have a trial and make it right to a fair and speedy trial. you're likely going to sit there for a year or two.
Yeah, I
But
could
then
do it.
prison, you'll sit, but you'll have time. You'll have time.
Time
So
served.
yeah, time served. So you'll have that for
Yeah.
2 years, and then your prison sentence.
Mhm.
If I went to jail, I'd be screwed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're done.
I'm too nice, and on top of that, I'm a cop. So
Yeah, no, you're done, man.
Someone put
Yeah.
a
it
hit on
is
you without
GG.
thinking.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
done.
Like just look at Chauvin. Like
Mhm.
Game
he's
over.
gotten stabbed like 10 times. He's had to get moved like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, that'd be
You know, and granted, maybe that one was justified, like to have him go through the experience he's been through afterwards.
Dude, but that's a real fear. I have that
but-
fear at work.
But you never know what the like the media is gonna take the case that you're taking, because you might feel justified in the moment, and then somebody else sees that whatever's going on, and that happens at our job too. I've gotten like pulled aside because like, oh, like you made a bad call in the moment. Everybody's like kind of working on this frequency of, it's really easy to Monday morning quarterback for situations that happen in real time. But in the moment, everybody's panicked.
Yeah,
Everybody's on cloud 15
Save
when they're
yourself.
trying to when they're trying to figure out like what to do. And then like the Monday morning quarterback wakes up and they're like, oh, like you made a bad
should've
call
did
here,
this
here,
way.
here,
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
here.
It's
You
Tony
should've
Romo
done
up in the booth.
Yeah,
You should
exactly.
reading the
He's not
defense.
good on the field, but he's really good now. Yeah, and
It's very, dude. I have that thought process when I'm working sometimes. Like,
and you shouldn't though. That's the thing.
No,
You
but I
shouldn't
should.
have to worry about
well,
that.
I should, because like that keeps me conscious of it. I'm like hyper vigilant when I'm working. Like it's hard to explain, but like when I'm working, I'm conscious and I'm aware of everything. I'm watching everything when I'm driving.
Well, you
I'm
have
watching
to.
everything
have
when
to.
I'm on
Your
scene.
job is to
You
do
have
that.
to,
Your
yeah.
job is to pay attention.
Well, there are some people who don't.
Oh,
They're-
yeah.
like there are
Yeah.
generally just people who don't.
Even at
Not
You talking about
Yeah.
officers or civilians?
officers. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like for me,
Crazy.
I am hyper vigilant. Like it's weird because when you
Did you see that? No.
when you sign
What?
off when you're off duty, you're just not. Your brain kind of turns off, but it just dumbs down a little bit. Like you're not vigilant of as many things. Like when I'm driving in my personal vehicle, I'm just chilling. Like I notice bad drivers. I see like signs of impairment and they're driving.
Yeah,
I'll
do
look at
that
their
too.
registration.
You're not going to call it in.
It depends, like how bad it is.
No.
but yeah, like,
If
it's very
it's
rare.
swerving, I feel like you should.
Yeah, if you're endangering others,
I
but
might
like,
even do that, even off duty. I'm not. It's not like I'm like off duty, quote unquote, but like just as like a concerned citizen. If I
Yeah,
see
but,
somebody
like-
swerving,
But for me, like we get so many calls that we get inundated with things that like I can see them for their base value. Like I can recognize, okay, someone calls in, they're like someone's all over the road.
yeah,
It's like they're trying to make an issue of something that's like really just some minor shit. We'll stop the car a lot of times and we'll be like, oh, sorry, like I dropped my phone, or like, oh, sorry, my kid's in the back and they're
yeah,
throwing a fit.
yeah.
That's a majority of them. You know, it's like, what are the real things that you're seeing? Are they crossing over to the center line, or did they slap a curb?
Yeah, they go down the ditch and come back out.
Did
yeah.
they narrowly sideswipe a car? You know, there's a lot of things that we look for and things that we'll stop cars for that are more indicative of being impaired. But yeah, when I'm working, I'm fucking like spidey senses tingling for 12 hours, you know, and so for me to have that turn off and like not be vigilant would be for me to get complacent. you know,
Yeah.
and that's when the bad things happen.
I was gonna mention that it's kind of like you always have to be turned on now. Like you kind of have to be like ready to activate, ready to
Mhm.
go into whatever is going to happen. I know we're just like chilling here. We're like 4 guys on the podcast chilling, but like deep in your brain, if shit were to hit the fan, boom, cop mode activates. It's like right there. It's almost ready.
My mom
And-
hates
and
that shit.
I don't know if
She's
you're like
"Stop talking to me
pack-
then."
I was gonna say I don't know if you're like packing
You're
or
triggering
whatever,
real
but
fast.
Right now,
Like-
no.
No. Well,
I-
you can't.
I
You can't. World War
Yeah.
III. Yeah.
But like when I'm driving around town or whatever too, like I'm usually like I at least have a carry gun. So like I'm kind of like more apt to be like, if somebody charges my window, like what do I do? Or like, you know, there's like more questions going on in my brain where I'm like,
That's where
if
you're
I have to
studying
act
your
quickly.
laws here. Like we have castle doctrine, stand your ground laws. And
Yeah.
that's where we have luxury. Now let's say we're in Minnesota, stuff like you have to figure out a way to retreat. The only way you can really actually defend yourself is like you got to be in a room that has no other means to get out.
Yeah, right.
You have to be in imminent danger.
Yeah.
Like imminent danger. There's no
And-
escape.
At our job, we go
yeah,
through that all the
Minnesota's weird.
time
Mm.
too. It's like, what is imminent danger, right? That's
Us at
the
all times.
number one
Us
question
at
we
all
have.
times.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, is a kid ripping like a pipe off the side of a building? imminent
Are they breaking the
danger?
top of the toilet?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's
You
like
know,
a
so
there-
it's always like a lot.
yeah. It's
But
that.
I know out in public, it's probably smaller than what we work with,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
So like,
I mean, me, I'm in a position where I have to act. Like, I was recently at the park
we do something.
that the city pushed forth forward a new ordinance so that you can't camp in the city parks.
Mhm.
And so for us, we have to remove typically the homeless from the parks after hours. After hours being after 11, so 11 to 6. A lot of people like to camp in the parks. It's well lit. It's a safer area to be. You're downtown Lacrosse. So I was just doing a routine, patrol through the park, and the guy sleeping there at the park, and say, "Hey, man, gotta go. Park's closed." And he didn't like that. I was like, "You know what? I'll give you an hour. Give you an hour to pack up your stuff. Get a bunch of garbage around him. I was pack your stuff up, throw it out. Whatever you need to do. Just leave here in an hour. I'll be back." Came back like an hour and a half later, so gave him ample time. Walked up to him. He was covered in a blanket, and like he had one hand out of the blanket. I'm like, "Hey, man, it's time to go." And I can see him reaching for something. He like grabs a big stick, and like one of my partners takes the stick out of his hand, and then right after he takes the stick, the guy jumps up, springs up like immediately, and just sprints towards me. I'm like 5, 10 feet away, not very far. And I was thinking about it afterwards. So we ended up having to tackle him and take him into custody because he was hell bent on causing us harm. You could
Mhm.
tell just from the way he sprung up and
And
jumped at
charged
us.
you. Yeah.
Didn't
Um,
have any knife or anything like that.
But that's what I was
You
thinking
don't
after.
know.
Knock
But-
on wood.
but-
That's
Well, you
crazy
don't know.
scary.
Right.
but like afterwards, it's like, what if he did have a knife? I wouldn't have been able to even process it. And for me, that was a learning lesson. Like, I need to give more distance because I wouldn't have been able to like scan what he had in his hands, like what he was coming with in the time that I had. Luckily, my partner was right there, grabbed him, took him to the ground. But it's a
Mhm.
dangerous
You were
fucking
lucky,
thing, man.
man.
And
Oh,
I've
yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
body cam before. There's a body cam video
It's
out
like
of
what,
Arizona.
7 feet is like the
7 yards.
close distance, man.
21
7
feet.
yards,
21 feet.
feet.
That's not really used anymore.
Oh,
It's any distance that an officer would deem reasonable or justified to use deadly force, because a lot of times you can cover 21 feet in
2 seconds.
like that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not even.
There's a lot of studies on it.
Oh, no, sorry to interrupt your story. Yeah, I was just thinking like 7 feet, 10 feet. Like that's
7 feet is
usually
nothing, dude.
that's
So,
nothing. Yeah, it's like they already close the gap.
If I'm
Mhm.
7
like,
feet from someone,
Think
I
about
know I can take them.
wingspan. If you stick your arm out, you can get stabbed at 7 feet. Like,
Oh,
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
like I said, there was a body cam video that came out of Arizona. An officer goes to a routine trespassing call, gets there, and the guy's just sitting there nonchalant. He's not like showing any pre-attack postures. He's not clenching his fists. He's not, doing the 1,000-yard stare, things that you'd expect of someone who's like thinking of causing you harm. Officer walks up, "Hey, man," super friendly, like, "Gotta go," and the guy's like, "Oh, okay, okay," and like just unsheaths a massive blade. I want to say like 9 inches long, massive fucking blade, and just runs at the officer and just stabs him multiple times in the neck. The guy's body cam is on, and then there's surveillance video of it, and you just see the guy squirting out of his neck, and you see the guy's body cam footage. He falls to the ground, and you just hear him gurgling, and then a bystander comes who's armed and shoots the guy, and goes and tries to render aid, but the
Yeah.
guy gets there, he's like, "Fuck." He's like, "Fuck, man, I'm sorry." And he takes the officer's radio and radios, "Hey, we need help.
Officer
We need
down.
help."
yeah, opposite down.
And
yeah.
like as an officer who works in a department with only, 100 sworn, I know everybody's voice. And so when someone gets on the
A
radio, and-
rando comes on.
yeah,
Yeah.
like even if I
Something
change the
bad,
tone
yeah.
of my voice, I'm like, "Hey, 84, pick it up." People are flying to where I'm at.
Oh yeah.
And like if a random citizen gets on the radio, you will know that something's wrong.
Well, they don't know code. You know what I mean? Like,
And you don't even need it because I'm so good with voices at this point. You know every single one of your partner's voices. You just do.
Yeah.
And if
You
you're-
have to.
so in that situation, man, it was hard. That's one of the hardest videos I've ever had to watch. But we watch it in lineup for training. Just to keep ourselves vigilant and aware, because a lot of times we'll go into the parking ramps and they're little vestibules that are no bigger than this, dining room area, and we have to tell people, "Hey, you got to go." In that space, that's not 21 feet.
No.
And
No,
you can cover
like-
21
no,
feet
like-
like that.
well, like the elevator areas
Exactly.
up in there. I know they like to camp out in there.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. So it's very
that's
dangerous.
what 8 feet.
Yeah, not
Like,
even.
yeah.
If you're like in an elevator, that's like 4 feet.
Right,
Like you're gonna
like-
have
Mhm.
the time between that they can get out of the elevator to make a decision.
Yeah,
And
that's
how
it.
can you do that realistically?
It's just very easy to
You
get
have to,
complacent,
but
Yeah.
complacency will kill you, and that's something I
Well,
stay
not
in mind
knowing-
with.
Well, because why would you ever expect somebody with a machete type link blade to just
We
come-
talked
like,
about
you
there
know,
was a
like,
guy
what-
in Mesa was a
what
couple
is,
years
like,
ago
the
has
process behind
tried
that?
charging the police officers, and then they had to act quickly.
Yeah.
Like I have a
And-
bunch of drugs on me. I'm going to throw it at the cop's face and get them
Yeah.
blinded, or you know
Then
what I
you're
mean?
like-
Remember
Like,
the Cold Blue Cam
Then
video?
you're like
there are a
concussed.
couple out there.
Did
Yeah,
you see that one?
I have seen them.
Yeah, there's that
I'm a
one where that
fan.
girl throws
I'm
like
a fan.
tinfoil with
Well,
like
just
heroin
like
on
of
it.
the show, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
We should
Well,
have that guy as a guest.
ask you a question.
which one?
You had one for specifically Kato. I don't know if you had more than you probably
I
more,
have more than one, but
but you
like
should
I
ask
know
one
which
of
one. I
them.
know which one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
ask
Uh,
it right now.
Well,
You got
like,
time.
well, it's just going along to what we're talking about now. It's like, what's the worst thing you've seen in real life on the job? Like you said it about the video, like that messed you up, but like
The worst-
on the job,
Oh
like,
yeah, got it. I think I told you about this. It was probably about 2 months ago now.
Oh, I do know. I do
There
know
was an
about that
accident.
one.
You guys, are you familiar with lacrosse, like geography?
Mhm.
So South Ave goes by Gunderson.
Yep.
And there's that Mocha right there.
mm-hmm.
There's a bend in the road if you're going southbound on 3rd Street past the brewery. And it's very unforgiving if you're speeding. So, little context, we had an accident there over a year ago now. Car was speeding down that road. There's a bend in the road, couldn't make the turn, went off. There's the curb, sidewalk, small embankment, and then the railroad tracks. Another little patchy field of grass, and then really deep embankment, probably like 20-foot drop. And then it's like goes down into an industrial business area. Well, a year ago, a car hit that turn going way too fast, veered off the road, jumped the curb, went over the train tracks. And mind you, it's like 50 to 60 feet from the curb to the steep embankment. So you have to clear a lot of distance. So if you clear that, you're just basically dropping 20 feet,
Oh, yeah.
right? So the car did that a year ago. Landed in this parking lot of this industrial business parking lot, and car was completely fucked. 2 passengers in the vehicle, jumbled around. Like we didn't even see the backseat passenger at the time. Um, they brought out the jaws of life, cut off the hood of the car, took everyone out. Luckily, nobody died.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
Were they
Month-
impaired?
the driver,
Mm.
yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly, right?
But a month ago, we went there we got an accident at the same area. And in my brain, I'm like, I know exactly where this is, So we have downtown patrol officers on the weekends. We'll walk the streets and make sure that, downtown's okay.
Yep.
If a fight breaks out,
You're there,
response,
yeah.
quick response. Well, there was a driver who was headed southbound. He was going through downtown, and he was in like a nice Dodge Avenger or something like that. Newer car. And he revved his engine, did a burnout, and the officers downtown saw him, and they're like, "Hey, knock that shit off." And the guy saw the officers, like, "My bad," drives off downtown normally, and then gets towards like Cass Street Bridge, just fucking floors it. Probably doing anywhere between 80 to 100 miles an hour. And so once he gets to that curve in the road by Dave's guitar shop, loses control, goes over the curb, and somersaults
Oh, wow.
multiple times. We have video footage of it. Somersaults multiple times, gets ejected, is thrown into the business down there, dents the wall of the business, and then lands into a dumpster full of sharp sheet metal.
Oh, dang.
And so it was like just like
Oh.
and in the process of the car actually spiraling through the air, it crashed through a fence that had barbed wire on it. And so
Wow.
like the barbed wire is just strewn about over the scene, and like I got there and I was like, I know exactly where this is. So I went straight down like the opposite way, because normally you just go down South Ave
Yeah.
and you'd be like, oh, I'm here. No, you have to go like
You have to go down underneath.
Yeah, there's like a little
Down-
off-road
down
you
on-
have to go
by
to Dave's. and
Yep,
all the
yep.
way
You have to go
down.
down Norplex Drive, and went straight there, and we got all the officers there, and like we're looking in the car. The car's upside down, up against the building, and you see a dent up on the 20 feet high on the building,
Hey.
and it's just bloody. Like somebody hit that. And we're like, where's the body? And initially, it's stupid to even think about, but I was thinking like, oh, they took off running, because that's what happens.
No,
like accidents.
ejected, man.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, like just like the
Just
first
like
thing
first thought.
the first
Yeah.
thing that came to my mind was like, oh, they took off running. No, they didn't take off running. They got ejected at like 100 miles an hour.
Right.
They hit the building and they bounced off into this dumpster. And so someone's like, check the dumpster. Like we reach up, I like go over the dumpster, and I could feel the wetness on my hands. I was like, fuck, my hands are just covered in blood. I look down, like, oh my God. Like the most vicious thing I've ever seen in my life. Like sharp sheet metal, just like a cheese grater.
Wow.
And like the barbed wires all over the scene, and his organs are hanging from the barbed wire.
Dang.
You know, it looked like a Twisted Metal scene. Like, it
Yeah.
looked like something out of
A
Twisted Metal.
Saw scene.
Just
Yeah.
like absolutely horrendous. His organs were like laying around the car, and man,
Ugh.
just fucking terrible. So like I was telling my partners when they got there, I have a little bit of experience, almost 5 years on at this point. Like, don't look in the dumpster. Like, seriously, it's not worth it. Like, don't put that in your
Don't do
brain
it. Right.
because you can't forget something like
Oh
that.
no. Right.
And they're like, no, 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 we're fine. And
Well,
they'd
we're
go
good.
and they'd go and look, and they'd be like, first
Told you,
responders got
like,
there, and I'm
right.
like, don't look in the dumpster. He's gone. You know, a tri-state gets there, and they're like, are you sure he's dead? Because we have to make sure before we leave. And
I'm
then we're like,
sure.
his heart's not in his chest anymore. Yeah, you get like he's okay. You know, he's done. But that probably one of the worst things I've seen. Like, that was one thing that made me feel like, man, I gotta leave. Like, I eventually was like, I can't be here anymore. Like, it's making me feel like shit. And I think part of that feeling came from the fact that I drank a lot before, like the night before. Typically when I drink a lot, like the next day I'm more anxious. I don't know if you guys have felt that
Oh
way,
yeah.
but
We've talked about that before.
we've talked about that
a lot. Yeah.
And so yeah, that day, like that whole shift, I was anxious. And like I was
And then
at
just
9.
seeing
I was
that,
at
yeah.
9, like waiting for the 10 to come along.
There's
And that
that.
was the 10. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
you know, I saw it and I was like, I can't unsee that, but I was trying to take that burden from anyone who I could.
Mhm.
So I left. Then they ended up having to shovel him out
Oh.
because he wasn't.
One by one to like
Oh yeah.
It was
Can't imagine.
that was terrible. I think the scene, just like the gruesomeness of it, the barbed wire, organs hanging from barbed wire, the car in the position it was, knowing
yeah.
how like the last person to speak to the guy was
An officer.
It was a
yeah.
Hey, man, slow down.
An officer. Yeah. Like,
Hey,
hey,
man.
quit that.
Hey man,
And
slow down.
you can tell people whatever, and they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do anyway.
You can't stop them.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was probably one of the worst things I've seen.
Wow.
In recent memory. But yeah, there's a lot of shit that we see, and we just kind of get desensitized to it until it's like crosses a new threshold.
Mhm.
You know, and it sets
Till
a new
it tops
benchmark.
that. Yeah.
Like it's like one thing, and then yeah, like the next thing.
It
You're
just
like,
sets a
okay,
new
shoot.
benchmark. So that's probably
Oh,
the worst
man.
thing for sure.
That's why.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah. Like,
that was
I
terrible.
can't even imagine like walking into that.
Yeah, that was not a good one, but you learn from it. I mean, obviously, I don't drive like that in my off time. But
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I recognize, like, I learned how to know when it's time to step away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I stood there for way too long. I wasn't doing a fucking thing. Like, because fire's there, they're the ones who's assessing the vehicle, making sure it's not going to blow up.
Yep.
I took my pictures. I did what I need to do. But like after that, someone else is taking the investigation. Like, get the fuck out of there. Don't sit there and just.
You're just in the way at that point.
Yeah, like you have to take your like initial look and then just
do what
kind
you-
of get out. Like
do your job. Get
do
out,
what you need to do, and then like leave.
Yeah.
But you had the problem of like, oh, like new shift is gonna show up at 10. You're like waiting for them anyway.
But
and
then how
you're
much
like,
of that was like actually like you sitting there like processing what you saw?
What do you mean?
Like just like looking in there and then it's just like standing there. Like were you lost at what you saw or was it just like
No, so it's like that's the initial. You get there, police are the first ones there. I got there first. You look in the dumpster, like, okay, paints a picture of really what happened.
yeah.
Obviously, the vehicle veered off the road. Guy was ejected. You have to make sure that a second person wasn't ejected. So you're still like investigating.
you're
making
still
sure,
looking, right?
You're still making sure that that was the only person, the only victim. And then you have to take pictures for a crash report. You have to start documenting for a deceased report. So there's a lot of different things that
Yeah,
we
that's
need.
like all the documents that we do.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have a checklist of things we need for a deceased report. And then you start making phone calls to figure out if, you know, next of kin is in the area. You're checking on your computer. If they are in the area, you
The
send an
next,
officer there.
the next of kin
Like,
stuff.
do officers go and tell
Because
them?
you do have to tell them.
Mhm.
I didn't know if that was like a
That's-
doctor
wow.
or something like that. So
No, I mean, if they died in the hospital, then it would be. But
yeah, but so you have to like make house calls pretty much.
No,
and
not
then
House
go-
calls
we go
or
there.
you show up?
we
Oh.
go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough.
So that's, I don't like.
But you had to make that one then because you were like the
No, I
officer
was
on the
just doing the
scene,
research
or-
to figure out who this guy was and where his family was. You know,
yeah,
and then if they,
well,
if
it's
they,
hard to find people too.
if
'cause
they
you
don't
have to
live
be
in
like,
if they don't live in lacrosse, and we have to delegate that to whichever department, whichever agency it is that they live in.
yeah,
so if
like
they live in
the
Minnesota
very
somewhere.
district or whatever.
We'll call that police firm and say, hey, can you go do a death notification? We'll brief the officer or deputy before they go out. And then if they have any further questions, just have them call me,
Yeah, that's tough.
you know, and like try to figure out funeral homes. Like the night of. It's
Right.
It's
No,
a lot. It's a
yeah.
lot.
You do that the night of, like
Yeah,
before
because
you clock
well,
out.
Well,
because
you have to know where
Yeah.
they want or like where they're gonna go. You know what I mean?
otherwise, the
Like,
medical examiner will just come and take him back to the medical examiner's office, and if an autopsy is needed, if there's any reason to think that there were drugs or foul play involved, then then they do an autopsy in
Yeah.
Rochester.
And I'm sorry to like bring like a specific instance, but that guy was under like drugs. I'm guessing like some type of alcohol. Some
Mm.
you got. Oh, you don't know.
Mm.
As a cop, you don't need that info. I guess you just know what happened.
I
This is what
mean,
happened. This is
that's
what.
after the fact. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll take
But you have to go to court over that. I'm assuming. No.
no.
Okay.
Who's the victim? Like
Well, there's only one victim, and he's dead. And yeah,
if a crime's committed and there's only one victim and the victim is the perpetrator,
yeah. There's
No.
nothing to do. Yeah.
you charge him in his grave, but like
what's that gonna do? Right?
you know what I mean?
They can't
You
get
know,
paid.
they
Yeah.
charge you if you commit suicide because the family can take it. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
No,
so-
that is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and
Um,
I just go back. Like I go home and I just go to bed. It's just fucking weird. You know? Like,
Well, no, because you saw like the most horrific thing you can see is somebody dying, is somebody going through like whatever they were gonna go through,
yeah, for sure.
like
I
the
don't wanna-
meat grinder, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty much.
That's wild.
honestly. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, that's. I don't know if you do. Are you from the area?
No, I'm not. I've been here since 16.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar, and you live around here.
Yeah.
You know the downtown shooting last year.
oh yeah.
There-
You were the
there for
first
that.
one on that, huh?
I mean, there's 5 of us downtown. It was fucking crazy that we were just there. We're 100 feet away.
Just right there.
We just hear pop, 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 pop. We all look at each other.
Do you hear?
we just-
Like,
We just start
what?
running. Towards,
Like,
yeah, we just start running towards it. I mean, it's those situations send you home rattled because you're like, man, things could have gone so much different.
yeah, that could have been you. You know, like
know,
they could have
like,
been shooting at you. You know,
7 people getting shot
that's wild.
downtown lacrosse.
Right.
You just don't
Mhm.
think about that shit happening. You just can't plan for it.
No.
You know? So yeah, it's probably the craziest thing I've seen. But
We're gonna be adding to the Lacrosse Cinematic Universe tonight. It's kind of nuts to have a like somebody who has been through what you've been through, on the B tier podcast because we are just like just good enough, you know. Like you don't really think of that we're gonna be going through these types of stories, these types of events. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like that is a lot, Kano.
That's crazy.
So
I work with a lot of veterans. I have friends that are veterans still, and I work with the HJUSA and stuff like that. So if you ever decide to get out, or you're looking for a
I'd
different
rather
tribe,
end on that
come on
kind of
in.
note.
because like I have a friend of mine that works with EMS,
Draw another.
fire departments, along with police officers,
I pour it
and then the D214s, and he sets them up with bows and gets them out there because they found that it really helps a lot of people that have gone through like that kind of shit. They really kind of change their mind and get their mind out of it, because when you hold the bow and you're going through the whole draw process, your mind calms. You're only focused on the draw cycle, going back and looking at your target and releasing the arrow and make sure it connects. But it provides a very good escape from it all.
Mhm.
You know, everybody goes through a 9/11, and it's like, but unfortunately, like with cops and in that realm, their 9/11s could be monthly.
It could be daily.
Could be daily.
bro, I was in
well,
New York when
well,
9/11
Oh,
happened.
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, not to get onto like the PTSD factor, but do you think about that a lot, or
Like
is
what?
that something that comes up that
Like
guys
that crash.
the guy's body and like
Like you
the
dream about
dumpster?
it at all?
Is
Like,
that something that comes
anything?
up
Like,
to you at all? Like, I feel like it would for me. You know,
No, I think it's no, I don't think about that like image. I have that image stored, but it's I think about more the impact on how I handle like just bad drivers now.
Hmm.
You know, like
Mhm.
that's my biggest pet peeve is when people drive like assholes, and like I have no pity. You could say I'm rude. Like I'm extremely rude when it comes to I'll make a traffic stop and someone's doing something really stupid, and I'll just tell them how it is. I'm like, "Are you stupid? You like I have
we
no
need
filter."
more cops like that. Though,
Well,
to
I have
be
no, I
honest.
have no filter, and I think
Yeah.
that you see videos of officers
We need
and
more
deputies
people
like
like
that
that.
who like just lay it down like they're talking to their kids. You know, it's like you're acting like a fucking child.
Yeah.
You know, like what's the purpose of this? Realistically, and I don't know if you guys are speeders or not, but if you're doing 10 miles over the speed limit, you're in the city of La Crosse, you're going from Walmart to let's say McDonald's on George Street,
Yeah.
10 miles over the speed limit, you're only going to realistically save about 30 to 45 seconds,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so You got
if
like
that.
and like and like
Yeah.
you might get stopped at the light, and then you're gonna be stuck there with everybody that you just passed anyway. And
I see
yeah,
it
come
all the
on,
time.
like all
Hey,
the time.
just getting here.
All
Like,
the
I'm
time.
so
I
glad
see
I
people
live in West
pass
Salem
me,
instead
cut
of
me
having to
off,
deal with
and then they're
traffic
stuck
here.
at the same light I
Completely
am
understand.
right in front of
I
me. I'm
never
like,
was a speeder.
oh,
Like,
oh,
I drive
cool,
truck
bud.
now, so it's like
Are you cool?
3.25 a gallon gets at full price. And so
How
it's
was
like,
that 10
I
seconds?
just kind of
Yeah.
I'll go
You
65.
save
It's like,
time
I'll go
with the same
just
light.
low enough. And semis pass me.
Yeah.
Because like I'm no rush to get
We're
anywhere.
in a weird town, though, to be honest. Like, we are in a weird town in terms of like how you get from one side to the other. Like, we have a lot of stoplights. We have like a lot of pedestrians. We have a lot of whatever.
Along with the
But
roundabouts, stuff like
there's
that.
zero reason to rush. I think that's like one thing that I've learned through driving forever too. Is like oh, you're gonna be late to work. Like, okay, is your work gonna care more about you dying on the way to work, or is it gonna care more about you being there 5 minutes late?
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes
You're gonna
late
take-
because
Oh, I'm not
They're-
gonna show up.
yeah,
the other one.
yeah, right.
I'm driving off into a ditch.
If you're
like,
doing
you
something
know.
stupid and you get caught up pulling you over, A is going to give you a lecture, B is going to give you a ticket, and now C,
And
it's
it's
like
gonna
you're
take
looking
longer.
at
and then
45
D's gonna
minutes.
bring it up on the
Take about-
podcast next week.
You know, think about it this.
Don't be on B tier.
When you think about it like this, when you rush, you make mistakes. That's true for every person,
Everything you
for
do.
everything. And so when you rush, you're gonna make mistakes. You're more likely to make mistakes. You still might make mistakes when you're not rushing, but you're less likely to than when you're doing 15, 20, 30 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. I just thought of that when you were saying that. So I can't stand bad drivers. That's my fucking pet peeve. Just drives me. It just irks me.
Especially
Yeah.
the ones that are going from one lane to the next. It's like we're going to a red light.
Yeah, we're going to the same red light, regardless of whatever you want.
I was on my way to work a couple weeks ago, and there was this group of 4 kids in this like little black sedan. And we were passing by Culver's, and one of them, I were stopped, and I just knew they were gonna do something in my car, and one of them threw a concrete mixer at my car, and empty, like it was like empty-ish, but I heard it hit my car, and I rolled the window down, and I was like, really? I was like, you just fucked up. And as I drive off, I look at their license plate.
Oh, were you in your civilian car or the
Yeah,
police?
I was on my way to work.
Oh,
Yeah.
police car, you just light them up. Yeah.
Oh, those teenagers are fucked if that happened.
And
But yeah,
they're just like, I'm like, all right.
very cool.
All right,
I
cool.
can't say what happened.
Did you find him later?
Maybe not. Can I more deny?
Yeah.
I was
Deny or-
watching like with
Yeah.
Governor Walz and the George Soros
Dude, we
DA
can't-
up
we
there in
can't.
Minneapolis.
Jeff.
Oh no, I'm talking about the. I feel
Jeff.
bad for the cops up there in Minneapolis because they have what they call the Kia boys.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, boys.
They're stealing all the vehicles and stuff like that. And they're blatantly
Oh,
doing.
there's like a okay. So I know.
they
So
purposely went through and-
hold up for people at home, the Kia boys right now, they've basically found a jailbreak for cars. You can go into any Kia Soul or Kia Sorento or whatever they want
Whatever it is,
to
right.
hack. And they
Hyundais.
can basically just put a
Hyundais.
USB in the middle. Oh, Hyundais, yeah.
Mhm.
Hyundai,
Dude,
God, Hyundais are so
like
old.
such old
Well,
news.
because that's like, yeah, I know, but
This is
Dude,
like, this is
how,
like 2
how
years.
old is the news coming from B tier
Okay,
podcast?
let me give you the newest news.
But I
There-
think it's going
all
to get to
right.
like they're actually purposely putting in new policies to not jail these folks. And if they do put them
Sure.
in jail, they're
Yeah.
cycling out. The
Well,
DA is
Dude,
wants to be
even
and they're
child.
hiding the crimes within
So
their own means.
I was talking to Tiffany from our job,
Mhm.
but she was even saying that they're not even like jailing child
No, they're not.
molesters anymore.
No,
They're
they're not.
background and signed and
California's
bond.
like- yeah,
bond.
And then they'll be on the
and
ankle bracelet,
so
you know,
they-
like
Yeah, this is like a problem with a whole different thing. I know that I get very fucking adamant about it, but
yeah.
I'm not gonna bring that on you tonight. No, so the Kia Soul guys are also going through like some type of cash bond. They're not really getting like, oh, GTA is not theft anymore. Like it's not a
There-
crime anymore.
It's weird. It's all in Minneapolis and stuff like that. It's all going on in that jurisdiction.
Yeah, so
I hate
that's
to be a
all
police
Walz.
officer,
That's all Governor Walz. He's a
but
current
it's
vice
also the
president.
current
Yeah.
DA though as well.
candidate.
It's a George Soros.
They
bought
got sworn
people.
in tonight. By the time that this views, don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that'll be interesting.
You
But
know,
it's like they're purposely hiding the crimes with decriminalizing things. So that's why they can say
I
that
want to
Minneapolis
ask-
had a drop in crime or Hennepin County had a drop in crime, but all they're doing is just
Hennepin
hiding
did?
everything. similar to what's going
Well,
on
they're not
overseas with
counting
all
crimes anymore. It's kind of like
similar to what's going on overseas. They're purposely hiding everything so this way
well,
they don't
so
show reflectively
in
bad on
this
Sharia law.
this is okay in some regards. So like when drug possession comes up, right? Drug possession is like, oh, weed possession, heroin possession, coke possession. When they stop counting weed possession as a crime, crime goes down, right? So that is like theoretically, hypothetically, allegedly a really good idea because you do have less crime if, say, you take a crime out of the equation, right? Now, obviously, yes, like you can commit 2 crimes at the time. Me and Phil have talked about this
You
before.
can never just commit one
Like,
crime.
you can never commit 1 crime. Kata, you probably know this too. Like when you write a report, you're probably writing like 4 crimes in every scenario, or at least 1, at least 2, right?
One. I
So
can do
like
one.
maybe jaywalking might be your
Or
only like
or a
one and done
speeding ticket
crime or a
maybe, but,
speeding
like
ticket. But most of the time, like when you get pulled over by a DUI, you're like, okay, they're also possession, paraphernalia, OWI, whatever
whatever it is, right?
right? So
Endangering the public, maybe, you know.
endangering the public, yeah, or whatever. But there's always like when you take a crime out of the equation and you take like weed possession out of the equation, people don't commit as many crimes. But obviously, like there was a crime reduced from the sentence or reduced from like the pool that you can draw from for crimes committed, right? So like I'm okay with like drug possession being taken completely out of the equation and just like
Yeah, but
hey, if you commit a crime on coke, charge the crime. Don't charge like the coke possession or don't charge the coke paraphernalia or don't unless if they everybody can say like what kind of weight they're pushing or whatever. And that might be distribution, but minus distribution, charge the actual crime that they do. So like maybe they do gun possession as a felon, or maybe they do like whatever, yada yada yada. You can get mad at me all you want for that, but that's like as an American, I think a lot of people should have gun rights. I think a lot of people should have like
where are we going right now?
general things.
I'm not sure exactly because it's
Hold on.
like
So,
no idea.
so let me touch that point. That's a good point. So if you
yeah. So if you take a,
I hear you.
yeah, yeah.
Hold on. Let me
If
give
you
you
take a thing out of,
yes, that's what I was going to touch
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
So say possession of cocaine or possession of heroin, possession of fentanyl are legal.
mm-hmm.
They're no longer crimes, and
Right.
so you pick someone up, you see someone who's using fentanyl, heroin, whatever. You're not going to arrest them, so it detracts from the overall crime report that the FBI is going to get the census at the end of the year that all the departments and all of America send their information to. It's going to look as though crime may be down, but at the same time, there's a pushback because when things are legalized in that sense, you can use them more openly, use them more, and what happens is crime is a byproduct of said drugs, heroin, cocaine. I'm just saying, in my experience, I will say that a lot.
My eyes are gonna lighten up a little bit.
Hold
My
on.
eyes are gonna lighten up a little bit, Kato, because everybody says that drugs and crime are not related. But no, I may or may not allegedly or hypothetically agree with you.
I'm just saying, and then this is completely anecdotal. This is from my experience. People
Good.
who are under the influence of narcotics are not going to be operating on the same capacity as someone who is not. They're not making rash decisions. They're not doing things that are smart.
Mhm.
That's just inherent. That's how that's how it works. That's how your brain is going to function when you're using a drug that is the sole function of it is to impair you in some way,
Yeah.
to numb you, to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you do decrease those crime rates by detracting from the actual, statute book, you're taking away statutes, okay, possession of coke, whatever, isn't illegal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, what happens is people are using more openly, more freely. And then what happens is crime rates in different areas will
increase.
rise.
Accelerate, like
Yes.
driving under
Yep.
the
Yeah.
influence.
And
like-
that's
Definitely.
what I was getting at. Is like in Minneapolis, they're
Yeah. I'm not
devaluing
agreeing
more
with you at
of a
all.
No, I don't
recklessness
think you are.
along with more violent crimes. Kind of like with the Safety Act they passed this year down in Illinois. Like you can commit secondary murder and get let out. You can have a DUI and get let out the same day. And
I
that's all
can't
done there in
attest to
Illinois.
that, but yeah, somebody
but
probably
all
can
this-
fact check.
But when you look up the fact check of the Safety Act there in Illinois, it is a downhill thing because we're
No,
thinking about
I
because I
know,
have a niece that her mom's a well-known drunk, and she can really basically get pulled over and they can just let her go. So like that, and it's like the cops that know her, it's like their hands are tied because they can't
You
She went to
can't
the full
prosecute.
yeah.
You can't
And it's like
prosecute.
and then she's already hit rock bottom. She's
Yeah.
like by the time she was 21, she already had 7 DUIs. So she's already a
So like she
habitual
should never be
user.
able to drive again.
But
But you know,
here
here
we
we
are.
are.
or
Yeah,
at least for
exactly.
like 20 years. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there should be
30,
like,
40, 50.
but like
you know?
what's what's stopping criminals from committing another crime?
Well,
You know
this
what I
is
mean?
something
Like,
that this is something that is gonna have to go into the next spot.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
I
don't
love this
know.
shit though.
I do
Mhm.
too.
You
Yeah,
guys,
like what?
here's something I recommend, guys.
Yeah,
I mean this wholeheartedly.
go for it.
Buy a nasal Narcan dose and just keep it in your car. I'm so serious.
For like anybody on the road
Just
or
anybody on the
anybody
road,
that
yeah.
you see. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have one in my car. Got a chest seal. I've got a window punch. I've got a basic
I got-
first aid
I
kit.
have
Because you
a-
don't know.
I have
Yep,
a basic first aid kit.
I have means to,
Yeah, I
to
have a-
break
So
cars.
you are
Me
kind
too.
of talking to people who are like survival-ish, quote unquote.
What?
Survivalist, quote unquote.
I won't even say
But-
that. It's just like that's like basic.
No, basic
no.
first aid, dude. You can't even get that through like
Oh, no,
99%
sorry.
of the casuals out there.
But no, sorry. Yeah, the
Um,
Narcan for sure.
but
It's
no,
like-
Narcan. Never even thought about it. So like
Yeah.
Narcan, like nasal spray.
have you heard of the podcast called The Lazarus Effect?
I think
I
have.
think I have heard of that.
Because the Laura Lodge has done like a. Oh, there's probably a bunch of people
Mhm.
who have done like.
So the Lazarus
Project
Effect
Stone, but
follows
yeah.
the idea that since the advent of naloxone or Narcan, overdose deaths have only gone up exponentially over the last like 10 years. or
Since
so.
Narcan,
Yep. And
do you think people get like unaffected from the Narcan that they usually
No,
use?
no,
or
Usually the
no?
fentanyl that usually gets
It's
laced or
just
whatever.
fentanyl going up.
Narcan is
Okay.
extremely effective, but what
Yeah.
the issue is, and what the podcast poses, is that they relate it to, they go back to when cars were first invented.
Hmm.
You know,
Okay.
they didn't have seatbelts initially,
Mhm.
but their speed also wasn't something
Yeah.
terribly.
It was like
Top speed.
2 horsepower.
Like, yeah.
You know?
But as cars got faster and motor vehicle accidents started to cause more fatalities, they introduced
Safety features.
seatbelts.
Yeah.
Right? Think about seatbelt in regards to like Narcan.
Mhm.
Then they made another comparison. Football, prior to helmets,
Mm.
concussions were
Concussions.
fucking
Yep.
Concussed.
TBIs, like all of that was compounding. So they introduced helmets. There's so many different features of our lives that we take for granted now that just seem as though they're, they're rudimentary. They're just there,
Mhm.
you know, and the podcast puts it into perspective. It's like when you feel as though you can push the envelope a little more because you have these safety nets, you go just that much harder.
Mm.
You know, with helmets, you can hit a little bit harder. With
I'ma
seatbelts,
push
you
the-
feel like
I'ma
you can
push the
drive a little
envelope.
bit faster.
Yeah.
You've got these safety cages, like in your
I-
vehicle.
As you
I got
should.
an airbag.
Any American
You know.
You have
should.
an airbag, exactly. So with
Yeah.
Narcan, since Narcan came around, and was made widely accessible, overdose deaths have only gone up. And so there's this idea that because people feel as though they can take more drugs, and
And then
they
just
always
hit-
have that
Yeah,
safety net
Narcan it.
of just being Narcan. And I talked to
Narcan it, man.
we arrested this guy a couple months ago, and I was sitting in the hospital room with him. Maybe I can't share this actually.
Oh, yeah, if you
Yeah.
can't, you can't.
Never mind. Well, anyway, so basically, this idea that if you're using these drugs, you feel as though you have a safety net. You feel
Because
as though
you
you can use a
know-
little bit more.
Well, because somebody might come back with Narcan.
Well, no, people typically
Right.
when they're using in a group setting, there's always Narcan available.
Oh yeah.
They'll only call us when
It's
their
not.
Narcan's not working.
Yeah.
They don't fucking know how to do CPR.
How many times, like, what is the most amount of Narcan you've had to distribute?
I'll
as a
say
cop?
this: you don't need very much. One nasal dose, it's 4 milligrams, is like 5 times as much as like a tri-state ambulance personnel is going to give you.
Okay.
And so if you give them any more, it doesn't do anything good for you.
Mm.
There's no added benefit to Narcanning them 5, 6, 7 times. You only need
Yeah.
that one nasal dose from us. Ultimately, if they don't respond to the first dose, you CPR, it doesn't work, they're most likely gone, in my experience.
Yep.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
Narcan's extremely effective. It hits them and it blocks those receptors that are, holding on to those opioids. And opioids, the reason that you stop breathing is because it affects the brainstem that actually goes to the core. I mean, the brainstem is the core of what makes a person human. Breathing, water, food, like those 3 things are stemmed from that area of your brain. The 3 survival functions of the brain: you need to breathe, you need to drink water, and you need to. If some of those receptors are blocked. You no longer feel the need to breathe, so you just stop. So the opioid, the fentanyl, will actually block those receptors in your brain, and you'll just stop breathing. You don't feel the need to anymore. You'll just die.
Mhm.
You'll just die, and the Narcan will come in and sweep those receptors clean, and you'll start breathing again immediately. Like you'll just give them Narcan.
So it's like a smelling salt, kind
Yeah,
of.
it's like that.
it's like an adrenaline
Yeah.
shot.
It's like that. They'll be gray in the face. You'll give them Narcan, and they're laying down. They're back, right? And they don't know where the fuck they were. They're completely sober because the Narcan sweeps those receptors
Yeah,
of
it's gone,
all of
yeah.
that heroin or fentanyl, whatever it was that they were taking.
Mhm.
They're just completely sober, and they're pissed
They're
because
mad.
well, yeah, they'll come
Oh, yeah,
back.
they're
And
sober
they're
now.
Like, they're fucking sober. They don't
Yeah.
want to be sober.
Mhm.
They're like less than sober. Like the Narcan will
They're
make
like
them feel
feral.
They're like fiending.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
like they are
feral.
like
They're
man,
like-
they're
yeah.
in a pit. They want
They're
whatever
withdrawal.
it is that killed
Yeah.
them. You know,
Killed them, man. You say that so like
But,
No,
but that's
I
what
know-
it is.
I know nonchalantly, but yeah, it's just like I mean they died and then you come back.
I
Like,
personally- I-
lathering,
that's
right?
yeah, exactly.
I
That's-
personally had it happen to me. Like,
Yeah.
We've been Narcan.
Mhm.
Knock on wood, when I was doing my opiate stage 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I actually had to do the math on my I did a podcast I released yesterday. I actually had to do because after my son had passed away, I did all the junk. I was a junkyard junkie, all the different types of opiates. Luckily for me at the time, fentanyl was not where it is today.
yeah.
And so it's like, but I never had to be Narcan or an EpiPen or not an adrenaline pen.
Adrenaline shot.
Yeah. But it's like I've been 18 years clean from opiates and stuff like that. But it's like I learned from my brother-in-law that's like, if you don't take it, they kind of make insurance becomes a big an issue. So it's like
Oh, yeah.
I'll get it and just throw them away. Just get
Yeah.
rid of them. So I don't want it.
And
But it's like you go right back into it.
Oh, yeah.
But on the podcast, I'm sitting there, I do the math, and it's like I've been fucking 18 years clean.
Yeah.
I can't say sober because it's like
Well,
I had a glass of drink here, but you know what I mean?
Sober is
Right.
questionable,
Right.
but
Yeah.
clean is
But,
great.
yeah.
So don't like mitigate it.
Yeah,
with that.
I have 9 years clean now, so it's like
Yeah.
I know, like looking back at how much money I spent on that, like looking, I could have bought a house, you know.
I'm so
That's-
curious listening.
That's
to
the
that.
hard part about all
Like-
this.
So
huh?
for you two, knowing that you're clean now, what like think about where you were then
Mhm.
and the type of person you were and the things that you would do to have whatever it is you were using.
Anything,
you know,
name
and
it.
like
like
can you attest to like the fact that it is a disease? Like in
Yes,
that
yeah.
in something
Well,
you have
like-
to fight.
Okay, so there's different perspectives on it. I think it's a treatment. It's
Mm.
self-medication. See,
Yeah.
what I was
It's a
trying to do,
coping mechanism. It's like
it's-
like a
we're trying to
crutch,
fill
right?
something.
we're no, like
So-
I was trying to block the
Mm.
mind out.
Yeah,
That's what all
yeah,
the stuff
Jeff,
is.
I know. it's
Whether you're doing
different, but-
THC or whether you're doing THC,
Mhm.
well, THC is anything that's
Yeah.
man-made is usually it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
self-medicating because you don't want to deal with the trauma that's coming through. Anybody that's gone through NA, AA, SA, or not, not sexual anonymous, not sexual abuse. But
Yeah.
when you're going through, it's all about treating the trauma that you're trying to run from. If you
Mhm.
don't address that trauma, you're always going to keep on relapsing.
Yep.
That's why people with opiate addiction, it takes years to get back. Alcohol is by far the worst out there, but it's that's what you're trying to recognize. And if you don't address that through your therapy, that trauma is always going to come back. And you're always going to relapse, and it's like, but every time you relapse, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
And see, like for me,
So that's why I don't think it's a disease. I think you're treating the trauma that you're
It's like a
running from.
coping mechanism.
for me, I
yeah.
come from an addictive family, so like everybody around me's on something.
Yeah,
or
my-
drinking.
The alcoholics in my
or-
family,
right.
they don't
They're
walk,
huge.
they drive.
Oh
And-
yeah,
Yeah.
and don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and I watched it all growing up, so it's like, and then now I'm the black sheep because I wasn't doing what they were doing. You know what I mean? And then I caused a bunch of trouble, and then they're all looking at me funny, and I go, "Well, I cleaned up my life. What are you guys waiting for?" You know what I mean?
They're
Like,
judging you for doing something fucking good.
right,
And that you
there
did a
usually
while
comes down
ago,
from
too.
jealousy. It's usually what
Right.
comes around
right.
because they hate.
It takes a while
don't feel like
for
she
the
gave it-
family to
yeah,
like
it's all self-doubt,
get
right?
into
Like I said,
Right.
and a lot of stuff.
oh,
comes from
your new
childhood,
lifestyle.
childhood.
Hey,
To
I'm
actually,
away from
to
that.
actually believe me, yes.
Yeah. Which, you know, by your family standards too, like they might be, is he for real this time? You
Right.
know,
But like, I
because
never said,
know,
I was never like
it's hard to get away from
in
it, man.
rehab and then like out using the next week. You know, like I only went to rehab once.
Yeah.
Like,
I
You were
quit
like
cold
a
turkey.
4 months
I
and
sobered up
done.
Yeah,
during
yeah.
training.
well,
It's
then
like
I was
just
still in
God
like
put
a
out my
year
heart, that's
program.
And a
after.
lot of people probably
And
won't
that's why
believe
it's
you
like
for a
telling
while.
stories like,
Oh, and
how
that's
do you
right?
fine.
handle your
Yeah.
PTSD? How do you handle your PTS? Because it's like it's
You don't
always
have
stress.
to believe me.
Stress is always there. But that's
I
what
just want
I work
you
with a
to
lot of
know
veterans,
that
like,
I'm
how
not like
do
that
you handle that?
anymore,
Like,
right?
like, a lot of veterans
Really
like
just
though.
using, video games
You can
or
ask
archery is a
anybody
big
in my
thing,
life
like,
now.
or
Yeah.
even shooting,
Like,
but a lot of
Mhm.
them, like, that once
I
they
wouldn't have anything
recognize
that I
that they
have
need to get
now.
away from alcohol
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a
or
house. I
the
wouldn't have a
grass or
wife.
whatever,
You know
that's
what I
what they
mean?
figure
No,
out.
Like,
you've
They
done
need to
so
find
well
a
for
new,
yourself, man.
New vice.
I wouldn't have a
not
job.
necessarily
I'd
new
just be
vice, they
sitting
need to find
around getting messed
purpose.
up all
They
day.
need to
Dude,
reinvent themselves to where
it's
they
nice to
Pushing
have,
it, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
it's nice
Like,
to have like a 40-hour-a-week job. I think that kind of like prevents a
was
lot
thinking
of
about
the
to
time that
side
you
talk with
have
you.
yeah,
to,
we're
I want-
basically doing
I feel like we're talking
yeah,
over
we are,
here,
yeah.
but no. What I'll say is like it's
Mhm.
really nice to have kind of like a distraction from everything like that. You know, if you are working like a 40-hour-a-week job, you kind of don't have time to go do your extracurricular activities, would just be like drugs or kind of get away from your family somehow or whatever it might
Mhm.
be. So
Mhm.
I think like having and this is what I say about like an employment in general is like if you have like a 40-hour-a-week job, you're probably staying out of trouble. I say that to everybody that I know. It's like, oh, I'm just staying out of trouble. And I say it nonchalantly, but I kind of mean that as like an entire like person. It's like
It's a
who you are.
discipline that you're
It's a
disciplining with freedom.
discipline.
And see,
And that's something that a big thing in society has like lost over the years is how much discipline are you going to put into whatever you are currently doing.
Mm.
And I know it's helped me. Discipline equals freedom. It's a big Jocko Willink line. But I know for a fact that if I had not put myself on things that had kind of gotten me away from, say, harder drugs, and I say that loosely because I've done a lot. I've done some.
experiment.
I've experimented. I've done some things that I shouldn't have, but I say that as somebody who I know that I do have that addicted personality, and I just decided to kind of channel that or funnel that into a different aspect of my life, and that
So here's the
turns
interesting.
into the B tier podcast.
So
right?
here's a fun fact for you. So do you know cultists or Satanists? They do not drink alcohol because they understand what it does to your spirit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
well,
so-
spirits, right?
Spirit-
Like
But
obviously,
it's
like
that's-
Native
this,
American
this is
tongue.
like anything that's basically man-made can open up the door to the portal of sin.
Gateways of hell.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get biblical, but a lot of the stuff
Yeah.
falls in line with that aspect of
We
the
got
Holy Spirit,
political,
essentially.
baby.
Yeah.
No, we
But-
got
but it's-
biblical, baby.
But it does
Yeah.
play a major role. Anybody I talked to, like I was Jeremy Fisher and we had a conversation here back in July, and I sent him a video where it's a camera of a security camera of a guy going around trying to break into vehicles, but across the street you see an entity. And it's like that entity was not part of his crew or like trying to break things. But all of a sudden you see him like he couldn't get in the car, so he jumps and moves on. But that entity across the way was looking for a sin to get into his soul to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where you usually will have some type of a spiritual block.
Yeah.
And it's like having like that's what we've also lost from too as well. It's why we all the chemicals we do, you create that separation enough, especially if you listen to like you dig into like,
Especially
third
the
eye.
microplastic in the balls. Yeah. Like, I get that. Yeah.
Or turn the frogs gay. I mean, all that stuff really
Dude,
plays a play.
the
plays a
IQ
role.
thing finally came out. I don't know if you saw
what
it.
did
Yeah.
it say?
Jeff, I know
Yeah.
you did, but
Oh,
yeah.
of course I did. Yeah.
So yeah, we're just building a base.
But
all
it's
good.
getting back to that same premise. Though, it's
building
like,
the base. We're building
you
the
gotta
fort.
be
But it's
you
like
gotta be
Fortnite,
diligent about.
you gotta build like a wall first, right?
No, it's the no bill.
Because of all the chemicals that we put into our water and stuff like that we
Yeah,
drink,
so,
it eventually will turn most people
lower
people get.
IQ,
Yeah.
lower.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
but it's like-
the fluoride in the water not only turns the frogs gay, but it also makes people dumber.
they're much more docile. That's what they found. That's what the
yeah.
Nazis did.
It's like it lowers an average of like 2 to 5 IQ points from what they found.
Then you added.
I'm gonna say that from somebody who is like a conspiracy nut. I can put on the hat, but like the
thing is, our
AP.
conspiracies are running out.
Well, hold up. The Associated Press just put out a statement on that, and yeah, we are running out of news to like debunk because
Yeah,
it's
because
been
everything's coming true.
25 years. Dude, it's funny when
Kinda
I
like
when I talk to,
sunscreen
when-
causing cancer.
when I talk to family about like
Not the sun.
like
Yeah, that's
Not the sun, no.
the sun probably does too, but when
Not
I talk
as
to family
fast.
about it, like sure.
the heavy metals we breathe in when
Sure,
they
sure,
go
sure,
through
sure.
the
when
climate state.
I talk to family about like, oh, like this is like the bandwagon you have to jump on to, like you have so many steps of like internal learning before you get to like that point. It sounds very preposterous, very random. very uncut, very unclear. But there's a lot that you can kind of learn from like what is going on around you, and like when you have mainstream news finally telling people about, telling casuals, telling normies about like, oh, all the stuff that like Alex
not
Jones have
normies,
been saying since the
you refer to
90s
the
and the
proper pronouns,
2000s.
an NPC, a
I,
non-player.
you know, I don't want to like convolute it like that, but like when you finally have like mainstream news reporting on things that people who were nutsos or like schizo cases in the 90s finally reporting on what people are talking about now, it's a big change. In terms of like what things are relative, what things actually matter, and how you can kind of move forward. But I don't want to get into all of that.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
And
we
that's
are at
okay.
like 2 hours of our conversation here.
Yeah, no, and I'll probably have to cut half of this. So
Are we cooking right now?
dude, so I told you about like 45 minutes in is whenever everything starts cooking. You were an hour 05 in when you started telling your story about your PTSD experience.
I don't have PTSD.
Okay.
You just assume my PTSD.
Yeah, I'm
If
gonna
I saw something
assume
like that, I guarantee.
Oh,
it.
it's hard to see.
would not be functional for a while. No, that's okay.
Like I do that at my job, I'm running.
Yeah,
Running.
You just assume my PTSD.
yes, I assume
How
you
dare
gender
you,
too.
Stuart.
So hopefully you are male. Hopefully
I
you're
met
white.
someone recently who
You're not.
I was
He's
like, "What's
Puerto
up, man?"
Rican, but
I met someone recently and I was like, "What's up, man?" They're like, "Did you just assume my gender?" And I was like, "I'm so sorry. How do you identify?" And they're like, "The, she, it." And I was like,
they,
hold on,
hey,
hold on, hear
her.
I was like, "The shit, oh, the shit," and they're like,
It's pretty
I
long.
was like, "That's a good one."
Yeah. Like my pronouns are now the, she, it because I went to the bathroom. Yeah. So I get it. I get it.
Now keep in
Anyways.
mind, the only people ever talking
She,
them are usually demons.
Okay. So
I can't say
see,
anything.
you're
You can back
everybody.
that shit
Thank
up in
you
the
so
Bible.
much. We ended on a good note. I was kind of worried. I thought we were gonna end about the half hour.
We're just throwing ass off, man.
Pass out, baby. No, B tier podcast. We'll be back in a week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the channel. We
Later,
are up to
bitch.
35, 33 subscribers at this point. We also have like 20,000 views or something like that. I'm so excited.
What do you got? Grown?
Like,
Hey now.
I
good.
don't actually think about this podcast that much, but I just want to be honest. Like, you guys are great. Thank you so much for tuning in. These are for the people in the back. You guys have a good rest of your night. Peace out.
Brady, you don't know those people.